Chapter 148. Here comes the opportunity in the eyes of Xiaoding, who had seen all the beauties in the world for many years. Lin Su could be called a top-grade beauty. Otherwise, how could he treat her as a goddess? He was a man who never took women seriously. For this reason, he even shamelessly pursued Lin Su. However, even after using all kinds of martial arts, Lin Su did not even want to see him, let alone other things. In the end, he could only give up. Who knew that Qin Xing actually knew Lin Su? After Xia Ding gave up, Qin Xing chased after Lin Su without any hesitation. To be honest, it was not that Xia Ding looked down on Qin Xing. After all, in today's society, one had to face the reality of love first. The reason why he could not change girlfriends repeatedly was because of his family background and power and wealth. Otherwise, with his bad looks, how many beauties could he chase after? As for Qin Xing, he was indeed outstanding, but also somewhat ordinary. Facing a beauty of Lin Su's level, he had no advantage at all. It was because they knew each other, but Xia Ding really did not think highly of him. However, as Qin Xing and Lin Su got to know each other, Xia Ding was shocked. The goddess actually liked Qin Xing very much. Qin Xing accompanied her on dates, shopping and so on. Now, she even agreed to be Qin Xing's girlfriend. At this moment, Xia Ding really admitted defeat to Qin Xing. This was King Big Shot who pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger. He quietly won over the goddess. Damn, what kind of society was this? Xia Ding was shocked by this news for a long time. He thought that if he was a top player, then wouldn't Qin Xing be an elite player? He did not even make a move, but once he made a move, he would definitely win. After Xia Ding came back to his senses, he instantly thought of Yan Chaozong. This was more or less the reason why he gave up on Lin Su. He did not want to face the deep-rooted Yan family in Shanghai. However, now that Qin Xing had pursued Lin Su, it meant that he would have to face Yan Chaozong directly. Therefore, he was worried and said, "Boss, what do you plan to do with the goddess's guardian, Yan Chaozong?" Since last night, Qin Xing had faced this problem several times. It was really a little annoying. He casually said, "You don't have to worry about this, I have my ways." "That's good. Anyway, be careful. If you need help, just tell me," Xia Ding said happily. Qin Xing nodded and said, "Okay, I won't talk to you anymore. I have to go. Let's have dinner together another day." Qin Xing returned to Shilin Huayuan first and drove the Audi A6L, which was provided by Shangshan Ruoshui, to Lujiazui Central Apartment. It was already 8 o'clock. According to Lin Su's work and rest habits, she had already gotten up. It was estimated that she had not had breakfast yet. When he was about to arrive at their community, Qin Xing called Lin Su and asked what she and the two children wanted to eat. Lin Su smiled and replied, "I've already bought it, hurry up and come up." It was a simple sentence, but it warmed Qin Xing's heart in this cold winter morning. He quickly parked the car and went upstairs. As soon as they entered the door, Lin Su took the slippers for Qin Xing and said, "Is it very cold outside today?" The weather forecast said it's -3 degrees Celsius. In the past, in the eyes of outsiders, she was a goddess who was aloof from worldly affairs. Now, she was like a little woman living at home. This kind of contrast made Qin Xing unable to come to his senses for a while. He said blankly, "Yes, it's quite cold." At home, Lin Su wore simple clothes, loose pajamas and cotton slippers. Her hair was tied up casually. This was her real side. Qin Xing subconsciously hugged Lin Su's waist. Lin Su was shocked and almost screamed. After all, she was not used to the life of a boyfriend. She just slowly got used to it. "I thought yesterday was a dream," Qin Xing said gently. Lin Su said affectionately, "Then keep this dream going. It's better not to wake up." At this time, Qin Xing really wanted to kiss Lin Su's tempting lip. But thinking of the two little girls, he finally gave up. He was brought to the dining room by Lin Su. The table was already filled with a sumptuous breakfast, orange juice, milk bread, and so on. Lin Su ran into the guest room and woke the two little girls up. After a while, they came out and greeted Qin Sheng politely. Qin Sheng smiled and said, "Be good. Hurry up and eat breakfast. After eating, I'll take you out to play." The two little girls were looking forward to it. It was their first time coming to a big city like Shanghai. Sitting in the Aston Martin yesterday, their eyes almost did not leave the window. They were full of curiosity about everything in this city. Especially when they arrived at the Bund, they were even more shocked and their eyes were full of longing for the future. After eating breakfast, Lin Su slightly dressed up and changed her clothes. Then, they set off with the two little girls. Qin Sheng's task was to be a full-time driver and a coolie. However, he enjoyed it. This was the first time he went out as Lin Su's boyfriend. The pride in his heart could not be compared with anything else. The first place they went to was naturally the sightseeing hall on the top of Shanghai, top of the newly built Shanghai Center building. From there, they could overlook the whole of Shanghai. Qin Sheng and Lin Su had never been there before. At first, the two little girls were very excited. When they went up, they were a little scared. After all, there was a transparent glass under their feet. Although there was no need to consider the safety of the glass, the two little girls did not know that. After all, there was a height of nearly 600 meters below them. Ordinary people would be very scared standing here, not to mention the two little girls who had never seen the market. Fortunately, they did not have acrophobia. Otherwise, they would not dare to go up. In the end, after being coaxed by Qin Sheng and Lin Su, they finally got used to it. Lin Su was a little afraid of acrophobia, but it was not very serious. She kept holding Qin Sheng's hand tightly. In the end, Qin Sheng even held Lin Su's waist unscrupulously. He took a lot of advantage of her. After coming out of the Shanghai Center building, they strolled around the Oriental Pearl Tower for a while and casually found a decent restaurant to have their lunch. In the end, Qin Sheng and Lin Su brought the two little girls straight to the highlight of the day, which was Disneyland. Any child would like this place. Disneyland was huge. Even though it was from noon to evening, they still only visited a part of it. After all, they did not know when the two little girls would come to Shanghai again. Therefore, they could only choose some classic attractions. Qin Sheng and Lin Su were half dead tired, but the two little girls were full of energy. They did not feel tired at all. The few of them played until the park was about to close before they left. Lin Su picked a restaurant with Shanghai characteristics for dinner. The food was all local Shanghai snacks. The two little girls were very hungry, so they buried their heads and only cared about eating. Qin Sheng was about the same as them. Lin Su ate a few mouthfuls and was full. She had been maintaining her figure and weight, so she would definitely not overeat. Therefore, she just watched them eat with a smile on her face. Lin Su quite liked this kind of feeling. It was simple, relaxed, and warm. She was not like the past when she always had to pretend to be a cold goddess in front of outsiders. After dinner, it was still early. Lin Su and Qin Sheng brought the two little girls to watch a movie. It was a light and funny comedy. The two little girls ate popcorn and drank Coke and watched it with great interest. The reason why Lin Su did this was to let them enjoy the life that people of the same age should have. It also made them study hard and live the same life in the future. After watching the movie, it was already 12 o'clock. Qin Sheng sent them to the community and went back. He was also very tired today. He had to continue tomorrow, so he had to rest early to maintain his strength. In this way, the two little girls stayed in Shanghai for 2 days. Qin Sheng and Lin Su brought them to finish the 2 days. These 2 days really made Qin Sheng and Lin Su very tired. Qin Sheng was even worse. He did not have a good rest in the past few days and was really a little tired. However, he was the one who pretended to be cool, so he could only finish the pretense with tears in his eyes. On the morning of the 3rd day, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji arrived at Lujiazui Central Apartment early. This morning, they were going to send the two little girls back to Sichuan. Last night, Qin Shing told Chang Baji that he still had to take 2 days off. Chang Baji naturally agreed. Anyway, during this period of time, Shangshan Ruoshui was also deserted. However, Mizan was quite dissatisfied. However, Chang Baji felt that Qin Shing's situation was a little dangerous, so he took the initiative to accompany Qin Shing to Sichuan. Anyway, they would go today and come back tomorrow. Initially, Qin Shing thought that it would be fine. Later on, after thinking carefully, he thought that Chang Baji was right. It was better to prevent accidents from happening. After waiting outside the community for more than 10 minutes, Lin Su came out with the two little girls. She even pulled a suitcase, which was filled with new clothes and food that Lin Su bought for them when they went shopping yesterday. Lin Su really treated them as her younger sisters. After waiting for Lin Su to come closer, Qin Shing took the lead to get out of the car. Chang Baji followed closely behind. He also wanted to see what kind of woman could make Qin Shing so obsessed that he would risk offending the Yen family to be with her. Today, Lin Su was especially elegant. Because she had to rush back to attend a meeting after sending the two little girls, she was dressed more formally. She was wearing a business suit inside and a gray woolen coat outside. After seeing Lin Su, Chang Baji finally understood that Lin Su was indeed different from others. Even though he was not used to seeing beautiful women, he felt that Lin Su had more elegance and aura, like a lady from a respectable family. This was not something that could be cultivated in a day or two, but it had been accumulated since young. This is Uncle Chang, he will accompany me to Sichuan. Qin Shing walked to Lin Su and introduced him with a smile. Chang Baji greeted him politely. Chang Baji, I have heard a lot about you from Qin Shing these 2 days. I really don't know what kind of dog shit luck he has to have found a girlfriend like you. Uncle Chang, you must be joking. Lin Su smiled sweetly. She was a little not used to Chang Baji's style. Qin Shing took the suitcase and said, "All right, it's too cold outside. Let's get in the car first." Lin Su accompanied them to the airport. At that time, she could drive the car back and go to the airport to pick Qin Shing up tomorrow. Just when Qin Shing and the others were going to the airport, Feng He, who had been watching Qin Shing closely, could not wait to call Yan Chaozong. He knew that the opportunity had come and he had to ask young master for instructions. After the call went through, before Yan Chaozong could say anything, Feng He said bluntly, "Young master, the opportunity is here." Feng He sneered and said, "The opportunity to get rid of that man. What do you mean?" Yan Chaozong asked excitedly and curiously. Feng He explained, "He wants to send the two little girls back to Sichuan. According to the information we found, the two girls' home is in the remote mountainous area in the southwest of Sichuan. Isn't this an opportunity for us?" After listening, Yan Chaozong finally understood what Feng He meant. After thinking for a while, he felt that this was indeed an opportunity. In the remote mountainous area, the death of a person was like a stone sinking into the sea. It was not like a place like Shanghai, where any movement would be known by the whole city. This was Qin Shing who took the initiative to come to him. How could he not cherish it? Chapter 149. Definitely wanted there was a way out for him, but he chose to barge into hell. To Yan Chaozong, this was an opportunity that came knocking on his door. How could he miss it? Qin Shing insisted on going to such a remote place. If he did not make a move now, when Qin Shing returned to Shanghai, it would be too difficult to find another opportunity. By then, he could only use other methods to deal with Qin Shing. However, this would not solve the root of the problem, and would not achieve the most ideal effect. In order to kill Qin Shing in one shot, Feng He and Uncle Zhen went to Sichuan personally. With their abilities, unless Qin Shing was an immortal, there was really no possibility of him surviving. Outside the security checkpoint of Pudong International Airport, Shu Wen and Shu Yi held Lin Su's hands reluctantly. The experience of these 2 days might be nothing to ordinary people, but to them, it would be unforgettable. When they were in their 70s or 80s one day, they would be able to recall everything that they had experienced in these 2 days. Perhaps only they knew how big the impact was in their hearts. If there's time in the future, I'll bring you guys over to play again. Study hard and strive to study in Shanghai University. By then, you can be with me every day. Lin Su patted Shu Wen and Shu Yi's head and comforted them with a smile. She knew that they could not bear to leave her and this city. After all, they were going back to that remote mountainous area. Shu Wen clenched her teeth and said, "Sister, don't worry, I'll definitely study hard. This year, I want to be the first in the whole year." "Me too," Shu Yi heard her sister's words and quickly expressed her confidence. Lin Su smiled faintly and said, "I believe you guys." After chatting with the two sisters for a while, Lin Su looked at Qin Sheng, who had just become her boyfriend. She patted the dust on Qin Sheng's shoulder lightly and said gently, "Go early and come back early. Be careful on the road, call me if anything happens." Qin Sheng held Lin Su's hand and said, "Okay, I'll be back on time tomorrow night. Don't miss me too much." "Narcissist, who would miss you?" Lin Su said embarrassedly. After all, there were outsiders present. Qin Sheng took an inch and said, "You see, I'm going to leave soon. Shouldn't you give me a reward?" "What reward?" Lin Su asked confusedly. Qin Sheng deliberately showed the side of his face and pointed there with his finger. His meaning was self-evident. Lin Su was obviously a little embarrassed when Qin Sheng asked her to do such a thing in public. She glared at Qin Sheng. Chang Baji turned around knowingly. Shu Wen and Shu Yi were curiously observing the facilities in the airport. Qin Sheng still did the same thing. He did not intend to give up just like that. Lin Su really did not know what to do with him. After looking around, she tiptoed slightly and leaned forward, quickly leaving a kiss on his cheek. That soft feeling made Qin Sheng a little restless. Qin Sheng held Lin Su in his arms, then let go of her and said, "Let's go." After she finished speaking, she called Chang Baji and brought Shu Wen and Shu Yi to line up at the security checkpoint. Lin Su waited until they passed the security checkpoint before waving her hand and leaving. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji set off. Not long after, Feng He and Uncle Zhen also took the nearest flight to Chengdu. They had already arranged people to keep an eye on Qin Sheng. They caught up later. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji were not around. Jiang Xianbang also made new progress in the management of Shangshan Ruoshui. Xue Qinyan was not very interested in taking over Shangshan Ruoshui. She was afraid that it would form an interest group and affect her brother's career. At the moment, there was no one around who was willing to take over Shangshan Ruoshui. After all, these people did not have the ability to manage this place well. Shangshan Ruoshui's advantage was its human resources. However, without that ability, it would obviously lose more than it gained. Xue Qinyan was not interested. The only buyer of Shangshan Ruoshui was Boss Yi, one of the 6 VVIP members. This Boss Yi, who had an extremely special identity and background, was equally powerful as Jiang Xianbang. Naturally, he had the ability to take over Shangshan Ruoshui. Jiang Xianbang was still hesitating and did not make the final decision. When Qin Sheng and Chang Baji arrived at Chengdu, it was already past 10 o'clock. Qin Sheng found the place where he rented the car last time. He had already informed them in advance and rented an SUV. After lunch, the few of them went straight to southwest Sichuan. It was a 10-hour drive from Chengdu to Shu Wen and Shu Yi's school. If they wanted to return to Shanghai tomorrow night, obviously there could not be any delays on the way. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji prepared to take turns driving and go straight to their destination without stopping. They estimated that they would only arrive at about 11 o'clock at night. It was a pity that there was no direct train there, otherwise they could reach earlier. Along the way, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji took turns to rest. Shu Wen and Shu Yi had just started to read at the back. Lin Su had bought quite a few famous books for them. When the two children started to read, their serious state really resembled Qin Sheng's. After the sky turned dark, they only cared about sleeping. The last 2 hours of the journey were basically mountain roads. These mountain roads were very rugged and steep. Fortunately, the investment in the West in recent years was relatively large. The mountain roads had been renovated and the road conditions were much better. If it was a few years ago, no one would dare to drive into the mountains at night. They might fall into the ravine. At 11 o'clock at night, they arrived at Shu Wen and Shu Yi's school on time. The school was in a small town. There were junior high schools and senior high schools. Shu Wen and Shu Yi's home was still dozens of miles away from here. This small town was not big. It looked very poor and backward, similar to most of the mountainous areas in the West. The most conspicuous building was the town's school. It was also built with the financial support of a group a few years ago. Qin Sheng had already called Shu Wen and Shu Yi's teacher. When he came here, he looked for him directly. When he first arrived here 2 years ago, Qin Sheng had already met him. He could be considered as an old friend. Usually, he was the one who took care of Shu Wen and Shu Yi and kept in touch with Lin Su. If Lin Su had any problems, she would also look for him. This teacher, who had been teaching in the western mountainous areas for 4 years, was called Wang Jian. He was from Suzhou, Jiangsu. His family was not too bad. When he was in university, he had ridden to Tibet with a few friends. That experience had changed his life. Along the way, he had seen too many poor people, especially those who had dropped out of school early. Hence, after graduating from university, he gave up his high-paying job without hesitation and came here to teach. He stayed here for 4 years, dedicating the most brilliant youth of his life to this place. His parents didn't understand, his girlfriend didn't understand, and even his relatives and friends didn't understand. His girlfriend even broke up with him. It wasn't until a few years later that everyone gradually accepted this fact. Some people also started to understand him. At the very least, what Wang Jian was doing was realizing the value of his life, unlike them, who lived their lives in a muddled state. After all, there would always be a group of people in this world who didn't want to be part of the world, nor were they willing to pursue those worldly things. All they wanted was a trace of kindness in their hearts. Some people said that they were virtuous, some people said that they were pretentious, some people said that they were stupid, but you really had to respect them. At the very least, these things had to be done by someone, and at the very least, you didn't have the courage to do it. Teacher Wang had been waiting at the school gate. There were not many cars in the town. Hence, when he saw a beam of light shining in his direction, Teacher Wang knew that Qin Sheng and Chang Baji had returned. He hurriedly went up to them. After the car stopped, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji hurriedly got off. Qin Sheng said apologetically, "Teacher Wang, it's already so late. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting." Teacher Wang was tanned and skinny. One must know that in the past, he was fair and fat. After all, in his hometown in Suzhou, he could have lived a very comfortable life for the rest of his life. It was only after he came here that he gradually became like this. It could be seen that he had not suffered for the past few years. Teacher Wang replied very politely, "It's all right. If I don't see you, I won't be able to sleep well. After all, these dozens of kilometers of mountain roads are too dangerous. I'm afraid that something might happen to you guys." "It's been a smooth journey," Qin Sheng replied with a smile. Teacher Wang nodded and said, "That's good. Where are the 2 little girls?" Qin Sheng pointed to the back of the car and smiled. "They're sleeping soundly. I really can't bear to wake them up." "Haha, let me wake them up. After that, I'll send them back to their dormitory to sleep. It'll be more comfortable this way," Teacher Wang laughed. After that, he opened the car door and woke the 2 little girls up. The 2 little girls were in a daze and obviously did not want to get up. However, when they saw that it was Teacher Wang, they knew that they had arrived at school. Only then did they put on their clothes and got off the car. Qin Shing drove the car into the school. He waited in the car for a while. After Teacher Wang sent the two sisters back to their dormitory, he and Chang Baji took their luggage and followed Teacher Wang to his dormitory. After Qin Sheng and the rest entered the school, Feng He and Uncle Zhen already knew. They still needed more than an hour to reach. However, at this moment they were thinking about what to do. Entering the school, this is not easy. We can't possibly kill someone in the school, right? Uncle Zhen said with a headache. Even if it was Feng He would not be willing to do it. Feng He said thoughtfully, of course not. We have to wait for him to leave the school before we do it. It's not easy to do it in the day. It's best if it's at night. No one will know, Uncle Zhen suggested. Chapter 150. It's finally on the shelves. Being on the shelves means a new beginning. The busiest period of May has passed. Next, Old Guan will start his seclusion to write his story. He will not survive if he is not crazy. I hope everyone will subscribe more. The plot will also become more exciting at this time. No matter how powerful the Tiger Men were or how powerful their background was, they would try to avoid as much trouble as possible when doing something. No one was willing to get themselves into trouble, not to mention a thorny matter like killing someone, let alone in a foreign land. To Feng He and Uncle Zhen, the best opportunity was on the only mountain road in and out of the small town. It was a pity that they came more than an hour later than Qin Sheng. Otherwise, it would be the best choice to ambush there earlier. Feng He and Uncle Zhen were prepared to do it themselves. They were not willing to trust anyone and did not want the news to leak out. Hence, they sent people to keep an eye on Qin Sheng's movements in the school while they waited outside the small town for the best opportunity. In the school, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji were warming up in Mr. Wang's dormitory. It was already midnight. This small town was terrifyingly quiet. Other than the street lamps, there were only a few lights that were still on. It was the same in the school. At this moment, only the lights in Mr. Wang's dormitory were on. A few years ago, when Mr. Wang first came to the school, their living conditions were really bad. 3 teachers squeezed into a simple dormitory. When winter came, it was really cold. After the new school was built, these teachers' living conditions were changed. Every teacher had their own dormitory. They even installed air conditioners and so on. They could more or less survive the winter. Anyway, the school's expenses were covered by the sponsors. Mr. Wang poured a cup of hot water for Qin Sheng and Chang Baji and took out some snack. He heard that Qin Sheng and Chang Baji were a little hungry. After all, they had driven for a long time. He was preparing to make some food for them. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji did not have any requests. They each took a bowl of instant noodles. Mr. Wang saw the two of them and was more or less touched. He smiled and said, "It's really hard on you guys. Compared to Mr. Wang, what are we?" Qin Sheng knew what Mr. Wang wanted to say, but he admired Mr. Wang from the bottom of his heart. What he said was also the truth. What they had suffered was nothing. Mr. Wang had stayed here for 4 years. Compared to him, they were really too insignificant. Teacher Wang was a little embarrassed. He was already used to such a life and did not feel that he was very great. He only felt that what he was doing was what he liked to do. That was enough. As for what others thought, he never cared. If a person had to live his life in a way that others didn't want him to live, then he might not be happy in this life. When he was old, he would not know what he was living for. Mr. Wang had already prepared 2 blankets for Qin Sheng and Chang Baji to sleep on the bed. He would make do for the night on the floor. If Qin Sheng did not leave tomorrow, he would stay in the town's guest house. At least the environment would be better than here. Hence, Mr. Wang smiled and said, "Tonight you can just make do with me. Tomorrow I will arrange for you to stay in the guest house." Qin Sheng and Chang Baji did not want to stay for too long. They had to go back to Shanghai as soon as possible. Qin Xing quickly said, Mr. Wang, don't bother. We will leave after a while. Leave after a while? It's so late, where are you going? Mr. Wang was very surprised. Qin Xing explained, there are a lot of things to do in Shanghai. We have to go back early. Hence, after resting for a while, we will prepare to drive back to Chengdu overnight. We should be able to arrive tomorrow afternoon. Then, we will take a flight back to Shanghai at night. What? You are leaving after a while? Isn't it too rushed? Moreover, it's late at night and it's all the mountain road. It's too dangerous. Mr. Wang heard this and quickly pulled Qin Xing. At night, the mountain roads into the town were rarely used, because there were many car accidents every year, and it was extremely unsafe at night. Qin Xing said casually, Mr. Wang, don't worry. Both of our driving skills are fine. If we drive slowly, we will take turns. Moreover, we are two big men, there is really nothing to worry about. If there is nothing, I am naturally willing to stay for a few more days. However, there are really too many things to do in Shanghai. Mr. Wang frowned and thought for a while. He felt that it was true. After all, Qin Xing was not an ordinary person. They had jobs and careers in Shanghai. Qin Xing's 2 trips to and fro would naturally delay a lot of things. Perhaps this was the reason why he could not wait to go back. If that's the case, then I won't keep you. However, you better be careful and tell me your safety at any time. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep, Mr. Wang said in a deep voice. Qin Xing hurriedly agreed. They finally reached an agreement on this matter. They talked for a while about the local customs and the practical problems of the children in the school. Mr. Wang said that in the past few years, Lin Su had helped a lot here. She often donated equipment and books to the school, especially clothes for the children. Her charity fund treated this place as the most important point. There had already been close to 1,000 students who had been sponsored. Hence, he admired Lin Su from the bottom of his heart. For a woman to have such a high level and ability, it was really impressive. Last time you left in a hurry, I didn't have time to ask you. How is Lin Su now? She is not young anymore. Shouldn't she consider her personal problems? Every time I ask her on the phone, she says that she is not in a hurry. Maybe the time has not come yet, Mr. Wang said with concern. Actually, he quite liked Lin Su in his heart, but it was just a simple liking and he did not have any improper thoughts. Qin Xing did not know how to respond to this. He could not possibly say proudly, Qin Xing is my woman now. Hence Qin Xing said politely, about this, next time you call, you will know when you ask her again. Seems like there is a situation. Just tell her honestly, lest I ask her again. At that time, she will say that you should think about yourself first. Mr. Wang laughed out loud. Qin Xing felt that it was true. At that time, if Lin Su said it, Mr. Wang would feel that he was a little pretentious. Hence, he said honestly, she is my girlfriend now. After Mr. Wang heard this, he was only slightly stunned for a moment. Following closely after, he said in surprise, really? Qin Xing nodded silently, smiled and said nothing. Then I really congratulate you. When I first saw you two, I also thought that you two were quite compatible. I thought that you two were a couple at that time. Now that you two are finally together, I hope that I can eat your wedding candies as soon as possible, Mr. Wang said excitedly. Although he was a little disappointed in his heart, he mostly wished them well, because in his eyes they were both good people. Mr. Wang said excitedly, congratulations. Qin Xing said firmly, don't worry, Mr. Wang, we will definitely. At that time, you will come to our wedding. All right, then it's settled. It's a deal, Mr. Wang said firmly. After talking about his and Lin Su's matters, Qin Xing naturally had to care about Mr. Wang's personal matters. Hence, he said, Mr. Wang, what are your plans? Are you going to stay here for the rest of your life? The only person I feel I owe is them. I'm so far away from them. I don't know anything about them and I can't help them. Luckily, they've understood me in these 2 years. But as a child, I have to be filial. So I plan to stay for another 3 years, and return to Suzhou when the 3 years are up. This was something Teacher Wang had considered countless times. Every time, he told himself that he would stay for 1 more year, and then he would go back. But he could not bear to leave this place and these children. In the end, he still continued to stay. Qin Xing admired Mr. Wang very much. He said in a deep voice, "Okay, Mr. Wang. 3 years later, I will personally pick you up and go back to Suzhou. In these 3 years, if anything happens to your family, just give me a call and I will immediately go to help." "Thank you," Mr. Wang said gratefully. After chatting for so long, it was almost time. Chang Baji had been sitting at the side and listening. He almost did not interrupt, except for the simple introduction at the beginning. At this time, he gave Qin Xing a look and felt that they should leave. Hence, Qin Xing stood up happily and said, "Mr. Wang, it's getting late. We should go, or it will be too late." "All right, I will not keep you. I will send you out," Mr. Wang quickly stood up and said. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Qin Xing and Chang Baji, who had rested for 2 hours, set off again. Before leaving, Mr. Wang took a lot of mountain specialties and said that they were for him and Lin Su. This was also his only gift, so Qin Xing naturally accepted it. Mr. Wang sent them all the way to the school gate before turning around and leaving. Opposite the school, the people arranged by Feng He saw Qin Xing and Chang Baji coming out of the school and heading east. That was the direction to leave the town. The center of the town was in the west. Hence, he hurriedly called Feng He. When the call went through, he quickly said, "Mr. Feng, they have come out of the school. Looking at the direction they are going, they should be leaving here." "Are you sure?" Feng He, who was originally sleepy, suddenly became alert. That man said without hesitation, "I am sure." "All right." Feng He's face revealed a bloodthirsty smile. After he finished speaking, he directly hung up. Uncle Zhen, who was at the side, was half asleep. When Feng He picked up the call, he woke up. After Feng He hung up, Uncle Zhen hurriedly asked, "What's the situation?" "Sigh, I can only say that this guy's luck is too bad. I originally thought that I would not have a chance tonight. Who knew that this guy would choose to leave the mountain at this time? Isn't this King courting death?" Feng He looked at Uncle Zhen and said proudly. Hearing this, Uncle Zhen was very happy. He did not wait for nothing. "It's time to work," Feng He sneered. At the same time, he started the Jeep Wrangler with excellent performance and headed towards the location that they had chosen long ago. That was where Qin Xing would be buried. They had just left the town. At this moment, Chang Baji would drive first. When they got on the highway, it would be Qin Xing's turn. As there were no cars on this mountain road at night, after all, no one would be willing to choose to walk on the mountain road at night. There were not many people here. In the past, robberies happened frequently. Hence, Qin Xing and Chang Baji did not dare to let their guard down. After walking on the mountain road for half an hour, they were almost past the most dangerous part of the road. As long as they made a turn in front, the rest of the road would be easy. Qin Xing and Chang Baji finally heaved a sigh of relief. Chang Baji did not think about anything and made a turn normally. When the car lights lit up the road in front, Chang Baji and Qin Xing almost simultaneously realized that there was an off-road vehicle parked in the middle of the road not far away. It was so late at night. Whose car would be parked here? Could it be that it broke down, or that they were seeing things? Or was there a supernatural incident? Just when they were feeling puzzled, the off-road vehicle suddenly started. The headlights were switched on instantly. The glaring light made them unable to open their eyes. Chapter 151. Chapter 151. How Dare You Touch My Son? Please subscribe, my new book has just been released. I need everyone's subscription support. Please subscribe support. Drivers all knew that they were most afraid of cars coming at them at night with their high beams on. Most car accidents at night were caused by the high beams, and at this moment, the SUV opposite them was coming towards Qin Sheng and them with its high beams on. They were just an ordinary Guangzhou automobile Trumpchi GS5. Although they could not tell what kind of car the SUV opposite them was, it was obvious that it had been modified. Just by looking at the special bumper in front, they could tell that if the two really crashed into each other, the consequences would be obvious. At this moment, Chang Baji and Qin Sheng did not speak. No matter how stupid they were, they knew that they were coming for them. To be more precise, they were coming for Qin Sheng. The first possibility that came to Qin Sheng's mind was Yan Chaozong. The only person who could know his route so accurately was Yan Chaozong, who had been keeping an eye on him recently. Then, it could be those old enemies, such as the Zhang and Song families. Anyway, after he told the Zhang and Song families the location of the ancient jade, he did not know which family got it in the end. Maybe the one who did not get it would be angry and kill him to vent his anger. Qin Sheng could not be bothered to think about these things anymore. The most important thing now was how to avoid this crisis. The mountain road was the narrowest here, it was impossible to go through. Moreover, the other party would not let them pass just like that, so they could only reverse. Chang Baji's driving skills were needless to say. There was once when he accompanied his boss to Zhongnan Mountains to escape the summer heat, they were set up by their enemies. They drove down Zhongnan Mountains at night and even drifted at a few special bends. Chang Baji, who was driving, was fine, but the boss who was sitting in the car was so scared that his face turned pale. After getting out of the car, he vomited all over the place. Chang Baji did not even think about it. He subconsciously put the gear in reverse and stepped on the accelerator to retreat. The SUV opposite them had already stepped on the accelerator and rushed over. Chang Baji did not dare to step on the accelerator because there was a bend behind them. If they were not careful, they would fall into the ravine together with Qin Sheng. In the Jeep Wrangler, Feng He's eyes were very fiery. His goal was to directly knock Qin Sheng's SUV out of the ravine. This way, he could solve all his problems. How simple and direct. The Jeep Wrangler charged forward recklessly, and the Trumpchi GS5 was very careful. Hence, the situation was a little precarious. Seeing that the distance between them was getting closer and closer, the Trumpchi GS5 had no time to turn around at all. Jump out of the car! Chang Baji assessed the situation and knew that if he didn't make a choice, the car would crash and both of them would die. On the left was a cliff, and on the right was a ravine. Chang Baji turned the steering wheel, forming a tricky angle where the front of the car was stuck to the cliff. When the time came, even if they were hit by the off-road vehicle, they would only hit the cliff and not the ravine. When the legendary GS5 had just stopped and the engine was still running, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji opened the car door and jumped out at almost the same time. At this time, the shepherding jeep had also rushed over. Qin Sheng, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, was leaning against the cliff, while Chang Baji, who was driving, was leaning against the ravine. It could be said that Chang Baji was putting himself in danger. If there was a slight mistake, he would very likely be hit to death by the shepherding jeep. After Qin Sheng got out of the car, he hurriedly ran backward, leaving enough space to buffer the distance between the two cars. He had enough time to react, but Chang Baji's time was more tight. When he got out of the car, the Wrangler was already in front of him. He couldn't care less and used all his strength to rush forward. With a bang, the Jeep Wrangler hit the Trumpchi GS5. Such a loud collision sound reverberated through the whole mountain. The front of the Trumpchi GS5 had been seriously deformed, and the side that was stuck close to the cliff had even more intense sparks. That ear-piercing sound was enough to show the speed and strength of the Wrangler. At the moment of the collision, Chang Baji had just landed on the ground. He took advantage of the momentum and rolled twice. The butt of the legendary GS5 brushed past him and almost hit him. This process was really extremely dangerous. If there was a slight mistake, Qin Shing and Chang Baji would have to die here tonight. If Chang Baji had not judged the situation and made the judgment in advance, felt that they could not make a turn and escape in time before the Wrangler rushed over, and then chose to abandon the car decisively, they might really have been hit into the ravine. This ravine was not low. If they really fell down, the consequences would be unimaginable. In the Jeep Wrangler, Feng He, who was driving, and Uncle Zhen, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, were completely fine. This modified Wrangler was not stressed at all. It was a pity that the other party's reaction speed was too fast. They actually chose to reverse and escape in an instant. Even so, Feng He felt that it was futile. However, he did not expect that they would choose to abandon the car and escape after retreating for a few meters. This was also something that he did not expect at all. The Jeep Wrangler pushed the Trumpchi GS5 against the cliff. The scene was very tragic. Feng He was the first to get out of the car, and Uncle Zhen followed closely behind. Both of them were holding self-made machetes in their hands. They were given to them by Sichuan on the way here. Although they looked ordinary, their lethality was shocking. After Qin Shing and Chang Baji got up, they both hid at the side of the turn. Both of them had a tacit understanding and were ready to retreat at any time. In this kind of place, they did not intend to fight to the death with the other party. After all, they still did not know how many people the other party had and what kind of weapons they had. If they had heavy weapons, then they had to be careful. Come out, this place is in the middle of nowhere. You guys can't escape anywhere, Feng He said with a face full of disdain. At the same time, he slowly approached the Trumpchi GS5. Qin Shing could tell that this voice was a little familiar, but he did not know who it was. After all, he had only met Feng He once. It was at the Peace Hotel when Feng He blocked his way. Qin Shing gestured to Chang Baji and the two of them slowly retreated. Indeed, as the other party said, the Trumpchi GS5 was probably damaged. Even if it was not damaged, they would not have the time to get in the car and leave. However, the other party's Wrangler was in perfect condition. Unless they jumped into this ravine, otherwise they would be easily caught. Uncle Zhen and Feng He, one on the left and one on the right, advanced forward in a triangular formation. When they got close to the Trumpchi GS5, Feng He suddenly rolled forward while Uncle Zhen covered him, afraid that the other party would attack from the side. However, what they expected did not happen. There was no one behind the Trumpchi GS5. Feng He frowned slightly and said, "This is meaningless, and it won't change your ending. If you want to die comfortably, then come out obediently." Chang Baji had an idea. He immediately took off his jacket and threw it out. What he was most worried about was that the other party had a gun. That would be difficult. If they did not have a gun, with Qin Shing and his strength, they would at least have a chance to fight to the death. Similarly, what they expected did not happen. Obviously, the other party did not have a gun. Otherwise, they would have definitely heard the gunshot. If they heard the gunshots, the two of them only had one choice, which was to run. Ha 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 ha, to deal with you guys, I don't need to use that thing. Feng He saw the jacket that was thrown out and knew what the other party meant. He did not expect them to be as timid as a mouse. Since the other party did not have a gun, Qin Shing and Chang Baji had nothing to be afraid of. Even if they were to die, they would die like a man. They would not die in such a cowardly way. Therefore, Chang Baji and Qin Shing stood out without hesitation. Although it was a cold winter, the moon in the night sky was so bright. After Qin Shing and Chang Baji came out, he saw the other party's silhouette clearly. It was just as he thought, Yan Chaozong's lackeys. However, they were lucky that there were only two of them, so they were considered to be evenly matched. "It really is you guys," Qin Shing sneered. Feng He said faintly, "It seems that you have already guessed it. In that case, it will save us trouble. When you die, you will also know who killed you. Remember this life's lesson. In your next life, don't offend people that you should not offend. Let's talk about the next life. I haven't lived enough in this life. If you want me to die, you are looking down on me, Qin Sheng said confidently. Feng He said disdainfully, you are already at death's door and you are still so stubborn. I don't know what Miss Lin likes about you. You really don't know what's good for you. What Lin Su likes about me, that's my business, it has nothing to do with you. Yen Chaozong is also a coward. If you have the ability, compete fairly. Play dirty and kill people to keep them quiet. The Yen family is really unscrupulous, Qin Sheng said sarcastically. Feng He was raised by the Yen family. He hated people insulting the Yen family the most. Therefore, he was completely infuriated by Qin Sheng. He said angrily, don't worry, I will definitely tear that stupid mouth of yours to pieces later. Who asked you to talk nonsense again? Come on, whoever is afraid of you is a grandson. Qin Sheng was also angry. He cursed the people next door. They really played dirty. They actually ran thousands of miles away to chase after him. It was still the same thing. As long as he could go back alive, he would definitely get back at them. Feng He raised the machete in his hand. Under the moonlight, it shone with a cold light. Then, he rushed towards Qin Sheng without hesitation. Although Qin Sheng did not have a weapon in his hand, he had never been afraid before. On the other side, Uncle Zhen and Chang Baji remained silent. They allowed Qin Sheng and Feng He to fight with words. Now that they had started to fight, Uncle Zhen and Chang Baji were also prepared to take action. The two of them looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Both of them could feel that the other party was not simple. Therefore, they had been using silence. When Qin Sheng and Feng He were about to fight, the two of them acted almost at the same time. The battle that had been brewing for a whole day finally erupted at this moment. It was really hard to tell who would win. At the same time, on Chang'an Street in Siju City, a Mercedes-Benz Maybach was turning from West Chang'an Street to Wangfujing Street. The middle-aged man sitting in the back reeked of alcohol. He closed his eyes and was a little sleepy. It was obvious that he had just finished a drinking session. He probably drank at least 2 rounds. Otherwise, he would not have come back so late. During tonight's drinking session, the middle-aged man was more or less unhappy. It was because of a simple sentence. Although it was just a joke between friends, the speaker did not mean it. That sentence was, although I, Fan Jinchuan, am not doing as well as you, Qin Chang'an, I have 2 sons. If it was in the past, Qin Chang'an would definitely not take such words seriously. However, now that he had found his sons, these words made Qin Chang'an feel a little uncomfortable. He could not help but think, was it right for him to do so? Gongsun, how is that guy recently? Qin Chang'an opened his eyes and asked casually. In the Mercedes-Benz Maybach, other than Qin Chang'an who was sitting in the back, there was only a strong man driving. The strong man whose surname was Gongsun was stunned. Then, he understood what his master meant. He laughed out loud and said, "Young master is in love recently." In love? Qin Chang'an said in surprise. He knew about this guy's past relationship. He did not say much about it. When one was young, who had not been in love? Gongsun nodded silently and said, "Yes, but young master is in a bit of danger recently." "What do you mean?" Qin Chang'an was a little confused. Young master's girlfriend is called Lin Su. She is the daughter of Lin Chongting from the Lin family in Ningbo. The Lin family in Ningbo and the Yen family in Shanghai were originally going to unite by marriage. Yen Chaozong from the Yen family also likes Lin Su. Now that young master has taken the initiative, do you think the Yen family will let young master go? Gongsun explained slowly. Qin Chang'an frowned and thought for a few seconds. He said, "Does this guy really not know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is? Is the Yen family someone he can offend?" "You are right. That's why I have been sending people to keep an eye on young master. I am afraid that something bad will happen to him. I was planning to report to you when you are sober tomorrow. Gongsun looked back at Qin Chang'an, who was sitting in the back seat, and said with some worry. Gongsun originally thought that Qin Chang'an would scold young master. After all, in Qin Chang'an's eyes, it was obviously not a worthwhile deal to offend a powerful family for a woman. Chapter 152. Let me do it? Today, I attended the last wedding of this month. From the end of last month to today, I have attended more than a dozen weddings. I'm on the move almost every day. I'm really exhausted. I will leave Xi'an tomorrow. If nothing goes wrong, I will keep the schedule the day after tomorrow. I hope you can forgive me. Qin Chang'an, an influential man in Siju City, a low-key tycoon hidden in Jianghu, was also known as the top red-top businessman and the #1 broker. Those who could drink with him at the same table must have at least a net worth of billions, and their official positions must be at least above the vice-ministerial level. However, this powerful tycoon also had unknown bitterness. That was, his wife, who was famous in the capital, died mysteriously. Then, his father, who was known as a half-immortal, suddenly took his son to a faraway place. These things hit him particularly hard, which was also the biggest mystery about him. Later, this tycoon married the daughter of a rich family. Since then, his luck had been soaring, and he had no more setback. However, no matter how far he climbed, he would always be criticized by others. That was, he had no one to carry on his family line. His ex-wife left a son and a daughter. The daughter was not bad, but the son had been missing for more than 20 years, and there had been no news of him until now. People thought that he might have already disappeared. No matter how powerful his subsequent wife's background was, she could not give birth to a son or a daughter. She was often laughed at behind her back. In recent years, she became a vegetarian, prayed to Buddha, and devoted herself to doing good. In the past 20 years, Qin Chang'an had tried many ways to find his father and son, but he could not find them. He knew the old master's ability. It was too difficult to find them so easily. It was not until 2 years ago that he got the news from an old man that the old master had passed away. Qin Chang'an felt a little pity and regret. After all, he was his father. No matter how stiff the relationship was, his father was still his father. Any son would feel uncomfortable if he wanted to raise his son but his parents were not there. But finally, Qin Chang'an accepted it calmly. After knowing the news of his father, he naturally knew the news of his son. However, the boy suddenly disappeared like the old master. He tried every means to inquire and finally found him. However, he did not see his son for more than 20 years until a few months ago. It would be a lie to say that he did not miss him. After all, he was his own flesh and blood. However, Qin Chang'an thought more. He did not directly acknowledge his son. All the men in the Qin family were heroes. If he acknowledged his son now, he would have to face too many things. Did he have the ability? Therefore, Qin Chang'an wanted to know what kind of person he was and whether he could take the responsibility of the Qin family. However, tonight, he was criticized again. Qin Chang'an was indeed a little unhappy. He could not help but wonder if what he did was right and if he was too selfish. Then, he heard Gongsuan's report. Qin Chang'an could not help but lose his temper with the help of alcohol. If the Yan family, which was based in Shanghai and could not squeeze into the big circle of Siju City, really dared to touch his son, he would definitely not spare them. When Gong's son heard this, he couldn't help but be overjoyed. It was obvious that although Master was dissatisfied with young Master on the surface, he still favored young Master from the bottom of his heart. This was how a father should be. He could give you freedom, but he could definitely support the sky above your head. However, they did not know that at this moment, Qin Sheng was experiencing a moment of life and death. The Yen family did not know that this phoenix man from Shi and had such a powerful background. If they had known that he was Qin Chang'an's son, they could only swallow their grievances. Both Qin Shing and Chang Baji were not ordinary people. Feng He had lived in the Yen family since he was young and was groomed as Yen Chaozong's right-hand man by the Yen family. He had visited many famous teachers and was even proficient in Sanda and Muay Thai. As for Uncle Zhen, he was groomed by the old master. It went without saying how strong he was. Otherwise, Feng He and Uncle Zhen would not have come all the way to the southwest of Sichuan with just the two of them, just to get rid of Qin Shing, this huge threat. Feng He, who was facing Qin Shing, held a specially made machete in his hand. Although the machete looked rough, it was extremely sharp. If one was really cut by it, one's skin and flesh would be torn apart no matter what. Qin Shing faced it head-on. He was going all out tonight. It was impossible to escape. Who asked the environment to be so bad? If the conditions allowed it, Qin Shing would not be so impulsive. Hence, it was either you die or I die tonight. Anyway, the result would be different. Qin Shing could only fight with his life. Because he wanted to live, he did not want to die. In the blink of an eye, Feng He was already in front of Qin Shing. The machete in his hand slashed towards Qin Shing. Qin Shing hurriedly leaned his body against the cliff and dodged. He wanted to go straight for Feng He's face. Feng He was not an ordinary person at all. With a slight shake of his wrist, the machete in his hand was placed horizontally. He took the opportunity to slash towards Qin Shing's neck. Feng He had the advantage. Qin Shing did not have the chance to resist. He could only continue to bend his waist and pounce forward to dodge. Feng He saw that his attack did not hit, so he retracted his machete and continued to slash. Sparks were seen directly on the cliff. Qin Shing, who had just landed on the ground, had not yet stabilized himself. Feng He caught up with him. A beautiful sword move turned his wrist and twisted flower. Qin Shing did not expect it. The clothes on Qin Shing's shoulder were directly cut. Fortunately, Qin Shing reacted quickly. It was just a scratch. Otherwise, his shoulder might have been crippled. Qin Shing took a few steps back. He covered his shoulder and stared at Feng He. He scolded in his heart, "This guy is really King powerful. He should be the most threatening opponent I have met since I returned to Shanghai. I heard that you defeated Yang Deng and spared his life. Now it seems that you are just SOSO. Feng He, who had the upper hand, said proudly. He did not take Qin Shing seriously at all. Qin Shing scolded angrily, F***CKU. If you have the ability, put down the machete and fight one-on-one. If I am afraid of you, I am your grandson. You are an ignorant man. I am here to take your life today. I am not here to compete with you. I will make it easy. Feng He did not fall for this trick at all. He just wanted to finish the fight quickly and then pack up and go back to Shanghai. Qin Shing was also angry. He directly took off his coat and scolded, "You want my life? You are not qualified enough." After saying that, Qin Shing rushed forward again. Just now, Qin Shing was more or less testing Feng He's ability and was more or less conservative. Now that he knew Feng He's ability, although he was at a disadvantage, Qin Shing knew what to do. On the other side, Chang Baji and Uncle Zhen were already engaged in a fierce battle. On the other side, Chang Baji and Uncle Zhen were already locked in a fierce battle. Uncle Zhen's Jianluan was flourishing. His abilities were slightly weaker than Chang Baji's, but he had a weapon in his hand. Chang Baji was obviously at a disadvantage and was constantly being suppressed. However, Chang Baji was not impatient at all. He kept going according to Uncle Zhen's rhythm. When Uncle Zhen swung the machete towards his thigh, Chang Baji suddenly turned around nimbly. Following that, his left leg's heel did not follow the pattern and directly kicked the back of Uncle Zhen's machete. Chang Baji's strength was not simple. Uncle Zhen only felt the back of his hand go numb from the impact. Before he could regain his senses, Chang Baji had already done a lightning-fast somersault and directly kicked the air with his leg. Uncle Zhen hurriedly responded, but there was no time. Chang Baji's leg directly smashed onto Uncle Zhen's arm that was holding the machete. Chang Baji's kick almost crippled Uncle Zhen's arm. Uncle Zhen's body moved forward due to inertia. Chang Baji immediately followed up with a mighty King Kong arm. Uncle Zhen could no longer avoid it. He could only forcefully raise his left arm to block it. With a bang, Uncle Zhen was directly smashed onto the ground by Chang Baji. He groaned a few times. In the end, Chang Baji kicked Uncle Zhen's chest hard. Uncle Zhen was kicked 2 meters away. He laid on the ground and could not get up no matter how hard he tried. This round, Chang Baji won. Uncle Zhen lost very badly. No matter if it was Feng He or Uncle Zhen, they only thought of Qin Sheng. They did not think of Chang Baji's existence at all. They were not familiar with Chang Baji. How would they know that Chang Baji was such an awesome martial artist? Uncle Zhen was actually not his match at all. Chang Baji purposely showed weakness at the beginning. Uncle Zhen had the upper hand. He kept avoiding his attacks. Uncle Zhen only felt that this man had some skills. He did not feel that he was very powerful. However, after Chang Baji became familiar with Uncle Zhen's moves, he suddenly changed his style. For example, the switch between offense and defense in basketball. He completed the switch from defense to offense in an instant. There were no signs and he exploded in an instant. Uncle Zhen did not understand at all. By the time he realized it, he was already completely down. The Yen family only sent players like you here. What a disgrace. I thought I would die here tonight, Chang Baji sneered. Chang Baji's last kick was really too domineering. Uncle Zhen did not come back to his senses for a long time. He was definitely injured. It was just that he did not know how serious it was. Anyway, he was lying on the ground and could not get up at all. Blood even flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Compared to Chang Baji, Qin Sheng's side was a little more troublesome. Feng He's ability was indeed not simple. Qin Sheng could not find a chance at all. At this moment, he had already suffered 2 serious injuries. One was on his chest and the other was on his thigh. Blood was flowing out. Chapter 153. Chapter 153. Awesome. I have arrived in Nanjing. I will walk around the Yangtze River Delta during this period of time to look for some materials. I will actually go to some places. In the end, I will still ask for subscriptions and monthly ticket. How many 40 years do people have in their lives? Most people can only live 2 at most. This year, Chang Baji was already 40 years old. However, he had been a little aggrieved for the past 40 years. In the first 20 years, he learned his skills humbly and basically lived a life of peace. When he was in his 20s, he accumulated enough strength to soar into the sky. Proud and arrogant, he wanted to make a name for himself. However, the next few consecutive blows almost took his life. Chang Baji was young and full of vigor. He was not convinced, especially when others predicted that his fate was not good. He fought against the heavens and wanted to win by half a point. However, in the end, he was defeated by reality. Therefore, in the next 10 years, Chang Baji had no choice but to bury himself in the dust and live a low-profile life. He had almost forgotten how awesome he used to be. Chang Baji had almost forgotten about it. Naturally, other people could not remember it either. Hence, there were so many Tom, Dick and Harry who came to challenge his bottom line. Chang Baji was a little angry, especially when the Jeep Wrangler rushed over. He was really angry. They really did not take him seriously. They only sent 2 people, and they dared to chase after him and Qin Sheng for thousands of miles. He thought that they were very powerful, but it turned out that they were just SOSO. Seeing that Qin Sheng was a little embarrassed, Chang Baji let Qin Sheng rest. He would personally go up to vent the anger in his heart. When Qin Sheng heard this, He could not help but feel lucky that he brought Chong Baji to Sichuan Southwest. If he did not bring Chong Baji, this day next year would obviously be his death anniversary. He had to admit that he had a tough life. God did not want him to die so early. You should have said so earlier. Come, you go. Qin Shing hurriedly took a few steps back. The machete in Feng He's hand sliced his clothes again. This Feng He was really overbearing. His machete wanted to kill him. If it was not for the fact that he was quite strong, other people would have died long ago if they met an opponent like Feng He. Although Feng He had been exchanging blows with Qin Shing, he had actually been staring at Uncle Zhen and Chong Baji at the side. They did not even consider Chong Baji's existence when they came out this time. After all, Qin Shing decided to bring Chong Baji to Sichuan Southwest at the last minute. They also did not have time to investigate Chong Baji's background. They only knew that Chong Baji was Qin Shing's friend. No matter if it was him or Yen Chaozong, they both felt that with his and Uncle Zhen's power, unless they met a really powerful tiger man, this trip to Southwest Sichuan would be absolutely safe. However, they actually met such a person. When Chong Baji defeated Uncle Zhen, Feng He broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't expect that Uncle Zhen, who was considered one of the top masters in the Yen family, would actually be defeated by Chong Baji. Where did Chong Baji come from? Uncle Zhen was defeated. Could he, who was only slightly more powerful than Uncle Zhen, win? Chong Baji walked forward slowly and stood in front of Feng He. He chuckled and said, "You are indeed talented to have such strength at such a young age. It's a pity that you met me. Today, let me tell you that it's not a bad thing to keep a low profile." Feng He was speechless. "Uncle, I should be the one telling you this." Although Feng He said that he did not care, he was already feeling a little guilty. Even so, he felt that he would not take half a step back. At most, he would die. This was his fate. Chong Baji smiled faintly and said, "All right, then let me teach you." Feng He had a machete in his hand. On the ground beside him, Uncle Zhen's machete was thrown to the side. Chong Baji did not plan to use it. He still chose to face Feng He with his bare hands. Facing such an enemy, he did not need to be so cautious. Only by doing so, could he completely crush Feng He and break the defense in his heart. Then, when Feng He saw him in the future, he would only be fearful and would not be disloyal. Facing Uncle Zhen, Chong Baji chose to avoid the strong points and attack the weak point. He retreated in order to advance and then waited for an opportunity to explode. Facing Feng He, Chong Baji chose the most overbearing and simplest method, which was to fight attack with attack. Chong Baji and Feng He moved almost at the same time. Feng He used his machete as a sword. The machete in his hand drew a tricky arc and went straight for Chong Baji's waist. Chong Baji took advantage of the situation and advanced. That tricky footwork almost stuck closely to Feng He's machete and perfectly avoided his path. Following that, he punched towards the armpit of Feng He's arm that was holding the machete. Feng He saw that the situation was not good. He quickly raised his leg to block Chong Baji's punch. At the same time, he retracted his machete and slashed towards the back of Chong Baji's waist. Chong Baji smiled faintly. He instantly exerted force from his waist into a bow shape and dodged Feng He's attack effortlessly. Following that, he suddenly reached out and grabbed Feng He's wrist. Feng He instantly felt that something was wrong and realized that he had made a mistake. He wanted to retract his hand, but it was already too late. Chong Baji grabbed his wrist and pulled it up suddenly. The machete directly cut through Feng He's ribs. Finally, Chong Baji kicked across the air and landed on the open right side of Feng He's waist. Feng He flew out and hit the cliff, landing heavily on the ground. Feng He's broken ribs were already bleeding profusely. It could be seen that he had suffered a great loss. If he wanted to take down Chong Baji after a bad start, it could only be said to be a fool's talk. Is this your strength? Is this all the Yen family has? Chang Baji laughed at him unscrupulously. Feng He was very unhappy when he heard this. No one could insult the Yen family, including himself. Hence, he stood up again and shouted, again. Chang Baji stretched out one arm and made a gesture of invitation. He had already used his actions to tell Feng He, "Come on then, don't talk nonsense." Feng He dashed out again. This time, he planned to use the most domineering machete skill to face Chang Baji. He did not use any moves, but just slashed fiercely. As expected, Chang Baji was somewhat afraid of this kind of machete skill. However, he knew that this kind of move could not last long, especially if the opponent's footsteps and breathing could not keep up. It could only be said that he was courting death. No one would face it head-on. They would only choose to wait for an opportunity. As expected, as his ribs were injured, after a few consecutive moves, Feng He twisted his wound. The intense pain made him subconsciously hold back a little. This was an instinctive reaction of anyone. However, to people like Chang Baji, this was king chance. Hence, after Feng He opened his mouth, Chang Baji was like a lion that had been eyeing its prey for 3 days and 3 nights. He attacked without hesitation and directly smashed his arm on Feng He's chest. Feng He's face was almost twitching. It could be seen how domineering Chang Baji's strength was. Feng He's ribs should have been broken. Chang Baji did not even give Feng He a chance to breathe. Following closely, he kicked Feng He's leg. Feng He, who had no chance to resist, directly knelt on the ground. Chang Baji grabbed Feng He's head and kneed Feng He's face. Feng He's entire face was instantly a bloody mess. Finally, Chang Baji kicked Feng He's shoulder. Feng He almost slid out and could not get up anymore. Compared to Uncle Zhen, Feng He's injuries were obviously more serious. Uncle Zhen, who was on the other side, kept staring at the situation. He wanted to shout, but the pain in his chest made him unable to do so. He could only watch Feng He being ravaged by Chang Baji. He was thinking, who the *CK was this person? Why was he so powerful? He and Feng He were not his match at all. Feng He fell on the ground. This time, he could not get up anymore. His face and body were covered in blood. It was really extremely tragic. However, he had to finish acting cool even if he had to hold back his tears. This seemed to be the first time he saw Chang Baji facing such a powerful master. He fought against Uncle Zhen and Feng He, 2 powerful players, alone. When facing Feng He, even he was injured. He was not his match at all. However, to Chang Baji, Feng He was like his plaything, he could do whatever he wanted to him. But to Chang Baji, Feng He was like his toy, he could do whatever he wanted. At this moment, Qin Xing only wanted to say in his heart, "Awesome." Uncle Zhen and Feng He were both defeated. Qin Xing and Chang Baji had the last laugh. Next, what they had to do was how to deal with these 2 defeated generals. How to deal with them? Chang Baji turned around and looked at Qin Xing. He did not care about Qin Xing's admiring gaze. Anyway, he was not gay. If it was a young married woman with a voluptuous figure, he might be a little interested. Qin Xing laughed coldly. Kill them? Chang Baji directly raised his machete and smiled. Then kill them. Anyway, this was the wilderness. If he killed 1 or 2 people, no one would know. He could just throw them into the ravine. Even if they died, no one would find their corpses. At this moment, Uncle Zhen and Feng He's hearts were like dead ashes when they heard this. Don't. I was just saying. You really want to kill them? Qin Xing hurriedly stopped Chang Baji. Chang Baji was a little confused. Why? If it were other enemies, Qin Xing would definitely kill them without hesitation. Even if he did not kill them, he would throw all their phones into the ravine and leave them to fate. However, he did not want to completely fall out with Yan Chaozong. Even if Yan Chaozong wanted his life, he could only choose to take a step back in exchange for Yan Chaozong's reconciliation. At the same time, it could be considered as a warning to Yan Chaozong. However, if he killed Uncle Zhen and Feng He today, then he and Yan Chaozong would really fight to the death. By then, he really did not know how Yan Chaozong would deal with him. With the Yan family's power in Shanghai, they indeed had many ways to deal with him. Qin Shing did not say anything. Instead, he slowly walked in front of Feng He, squatted down and said, "I won't kill you today, not because I don't dare to, but because I want to leave you alive. Go back and send a message to Yan Chaozong that I, Qin Shing, am not a pushover. Even a rabbit will bite when it's cornered, let alone a loser like me who has never been at a disadvantage. Only this once. If there's a next time, if you force me into a corner, I'll kill everyone in the Yan family. At most, I'll be the last one to die. As for Lin Su's matter, I'll still say the same thing. Pursue with your own ability. If he can get Lin Su, I definitely won't get involved. I'll leave her alone without hesitation. However, if he wants to continue playing these dirty tricks, alright, I'll accompany him. Your Yan family is powerful, but you don't have the power to cover the sky with one hand, right?" After saying this, Qin Shing patted Feng He's face and stood up with a faint smile. "Let's retreat," Qin Shing shouted to Chang Baji. Qin Shing originally wanted to drive their Jeep Wrangler directly. However, he thought that the Trumpchi GS5 was a rented car. If he just threw it away like this, he would have to pay a lot of money. He still had to marry a wife in the future, so he had to save up money. Hence, he tried the Trumpchi GS5 first. Who knew that this broken car would actually be fine? He had to admit that domestic cars had become more powerful now. No wonder the Trumpchi was selling so well. Chapter 154. Undressing? If it were those enemies from the past, Qin Shing would definitely kill Uncle Zhen and Feng He tonight. However, Yan Chaozong was special. After all, it involved Lin Su. Qin Shing did not dare to be so ruthless and left himself a chance. If he was already like this and Yan Chaozong still wanted to kill him, then Qin Shing would not hold back anymore. Driving the almost scrapped Trumpchi on the road, Qin Shing turned on his phone and realized that Mr. Wang had called him a few times. Qin Shing hurriedly returned the call and said that he had fallen asleep just now. His phone was on silent mode and he did not hear it. He was already on the highway and asked Mr. Wang to rest early. Only then did Mr. Wang feel at ease. Qin Shing did not dare to tell Mr. Wang what happened on the road. He reckoned that Mr. Wang would be scared half to death. The Trumpchi was already in such a state, naturally, it would not be able to reach Chengdu. Let's not talk about whether it was allowed on the highway. Even if it was on the highway, it would not be able to run for long. Hence, Qin Shing and Chang Baji could only head straight to the county town. They planned to make do with it for the night and call the car rental company the next morning to let them think of a way to deal with the car. He and Chang Baji would then take the bus to Chengdu. As for how much money they would have to pay, Qin Shing could only accept it. At least they were still alive, money was not a big deal. They found a hotel in the county town. After Qin Shing had his wounds treated simply, both of them were already exhausted and fell asleep. They slept until noon the next day. Qin Shing got up and called the car rental company first, saying that there was a car accident and so on. The car rental company contacted the insurance company. Following that, Qin Shing and Chang Baji went out to find a clinic to treat their wounds properly, in case it got infected. When they came back after lunch, the insurance company's staff arrived. They were busy all the way until 3 in the afternoon. Then, they hurriedly took a bus to Chengdu. After Qin Shing called Lin Su to tell her that he was safe, he told her that they were too tired from driving and rested for the night. Hence, they estimated that they would only be able to return to Shanghai at noon the next day. Lin Su did not think much of it, she just told Qin Shing to be careful on the road. Last night, after Qin Shing and Chang Baji abandoned them and left, Uncle Jean hurriedly called his friends in Sichuan for help. Otherwise, Feng He's life would have been lost there. Then, he reported to Yan Chaozong. Late at night, Yan Chaozong, who was in the Thompson Premium Mansion, was sleeping soundly. He had just attended a gathering of the rich second generations in Shanghai and was forced to drink quite a bit. However, his alcohol tolerance was not bad and he did not get drunk. He went straight to sleep when he returned. Now, he was woken up by the continuous vibration of his phone. He almost never switched off his phone when he slept at night, afraid that something urgent would happen. Moreover, it was today. He had been waiting for news from Uncle Jean and Feng He. Yan Chaozong turned on the light in a daze and picked up his phone. He realized that it was Uncle Jean calling and instantly woke up. He asked in a deep voice, "How's the matter going?" "Young master, we failed," Uncle Jean said bluntly. Feng He, who was lying not far away, could not move at all. His chest was also in excruciating pain. "What?" Yan Chaozong was shocked. Uncle Jean and Feng He personally went to deal with a small Qin Shing, and they actually failed. Moreover, they went prepared. Qin Shing did not even know how they failed. Uncle Jean said in a trembling voice, "That man is really too powerful. Feng He and I are not his match at all. If they did not let us go, Feng He and I would have to die here tonight. We might not be able to see young master again." Yan Chaozong was surprised. "You are talking about Qin Shing? Is he that powerful?" "It's not Qin Shing, it's his friend. We were too careless. We did not expect Qin Shing to have such a powerful friend by his side," Uncle Jean explained honestly. Yan Chaozong thought for a moment and said, "How are you guys now?" "I can still move. Feng He is seriously injured. I have already contacted the people in Sichuan. They are on their way here," Uncle Jean replied. Yan Chaozong was extremely troubled at this moment. He snorted coldly, "Don't say anything else. We'll talk about it when you guys are back." After hanging up the phone, Yan Chaozong fell into deep thought. He went for wool and came home shorn. He really did not expect this outcome. It seemed that he had underestimated Qin Shing. However, he would not stop here. He had ways and opportunities to deal with Qin Shing. When Qin Shing and Chang Baji returned to Chengdu, it was already 11 p.m. The two of them found an old hot pot restaurant to settle their dinner. In the end, they found a hotel near the airport to rest. Their flight tickets had already been changed to the next morning. After they woke up the next day, they rushed back to Shanghai from Chengdu. This trip was considered to be daunting but not dangerous. Lin Su arrived half an hour earlier at Pudong International Airport. She felt that it was about time. She waited for Qin Shing and Chang Baji at the domestic arrival exit. Although there were all kinds of beauties in Shanghai, Lin Su standing there naturally formed a beautiful scenery. In just half an hour, there were already 4 groups of people who ran over to strike up a conversation. They wanted Lin Su's contact details. As expected, they were all rejected by Lin Su. Her reason was very simple. She was already married. A few minutes later, Qin Shing and Chang Baji finally came out. If they still did not come out, who knew how many more men would come to harass Lin Su? Qin Shing saw Lin Su from afar. She was dressed in a gray suit. She looked very noble and cold. When he thought that this woman had already become his girlfriend, Qin Shing was a little elated. He felt that these injuries were really nothing. Qin Shing waved at Lin Su. Lin Su only had a faint smile on her face. Her eyes were full of tenderness as she looked at Qin Shing. After Qin Shing walked in front of Lin Su, he directly stretched out his hands. His meaning was self-evident. On such an occasion, although Lin Su was somewhat reluctant, she still cooperated and hugged Qin Shing after glaring at him. Although Lin Su's actions were very gentle, she still touched Qin Shing's wound. Qin Shing let out a muffled groan and grimaced in pain. Lin Su felt that something was wrong. She raised her head and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Qin Shing immediately recovered and said, "Nothing. I just miss you. I'm a little excited to see you." "Do you always coax women like this in the past?" Lin Su said disapprovingly, but there was still some warmth in her heart. She was such a woman. Even if other men said thousands of nice words to her, they were just repetitive nonsense to her. But if she liked a man, even a casual word of love from this man might make her enjoy it. Perhaps every woman was like this. Lin Su's heart was filled with warmth. Lin Su said disapprovingly. Qin Shing laughed out loud and said, "I'll only coax you in the future." Lin Su pushed Qin Shing away and snorted coldly, "Give me an inch and you want a foot." This time, she touched Qin Shing's wounds again. Qin Shing's face changed slightly. In order to prevent Lin Su from finding out that something was wrong, he held Lin Su's hand and smiled. "Let's go, we're all starving." Chang Baji, who had been standing by the side, chose to ignore the existence of the two. He knew that there would be a lot of public displays of affection in the future. On the way back, Lin Su casually asked Qin Shing about the trivial matters of sending Shu Wen and Shu Yi back. Qin Shing chatted with her about Mr. Wang. Speaking of Mr. Wang, Lin Su also felt a little emotional. It's a pity that there are not many people like Mr. Wang in this society. Yes, how many people are willing to devote the most brilliant youth of their life to their dreams? Qin Shing smiled bitterly. After having lunch at the entrance of Lin Su's community, Chang Baji sensibly left. He took the initiative and said, "I'll go back to Shangshan Ruoshui first. There are still some things I need to deal with there." "Well, I won't go there today. You tell Mizan that I'll go there tomorrow." Qin Shing still wanted to stay with Lin Su for a while, so he said with a smile. Chang Baji said playfully, "I'm afraid that when you go back tomorrow, Mizan will kill you. The world is big, but my girlfriend is the most important." Qin Shing looked at Lin Su and said carelessly. Lin Su stared at Qin Shing and said nothing. After Chang Baji left, Lin Su took Qin Shing back to Lujiazwi's central apartment. Qin Shing changed his shoes and put his luggage in the dining room, saying that it was the local specialties that Mr. Wang brought for her. Lin Su suddenly stopped talking and stared at Qin Shing with a serious face. Her eyes were a little cold. Qin Shing was a little confused. "What's wrong with you? Take off your clothes." Lin Su stared at Qin Shing and said very seriously. Qin Shing was shocked and subconsciously said, "Wife, aren't we a little too fast? I haven't gotten used to it yet. Besides, it's daytime now. Can we wait until night?" Lin Su was so angry that her face turned red, but she still insisted. "Don't talk nonsense, take off your upper body first." Although Qin Shing did not understand what Lin Su wanted to do, he really did not dare to take off his clothes. The treated wounds on his body were still wrapped with bandages. If he took off his clothes, it would be all exposed. How could he smooth things over then? "Can I not take it off?" Qin Shing did not dare to be too tough and asked in a negotiating tone. Lin Su instantly pulled a long face. Obviously, she was really angry. Qin Shing made up his mind and quickly said, I'll take it off, okay?" Therefore, under Lin Su's gaze, Qin Shing took off all the clothes on his upper body one by one. When he took off the innermost layer of thermal underwear, Qin Shing could no longer hide it. At this moment, Qin Shing's entire upper body was exposed. The bandages on his shoulders and waist were so dazzling, and even the blood that had seeped out could be seen. Lin Su was shocked. She knew that there might be something wrong with Qin Shing's body. Otherwise, when she met Qin Shing several times, Qin Shing had some small movement. Although he hid it very well, it could not escape her observation at all. Thinking of Qin Shing's delay in returning to Shanghai for half a day, Lin Su felt that there must be something wrong. However, Lin Su did not expect that it would be so serious. Qin Shing had already given up. He just stood there and let Lin Su stare at him. Anyway, he had been used to these years. It was not the first time that he was injured. It would not take long for him to recover, and there was no danger to his life. After an unknown period of time, Lin Su's eyes suddenly turned red. She bit her lips and asked, "What's going on?" "It's okay, it's just a little scratch." "It's not a big deal," Qin Sheng said with a cheeky smile. Lin Su's eyes followed the flow and she asked again, "Can you find a better reason?" Qin Sheng did not speak. He really did not know how to explain. Could he tell Lin Su that Yen Chaozong had sent people to chase him for thousands of miles to kill him? He had long been used to bear everything by himself and was not willing to tell others. "Qin Sheng, am I still your girlfriend?" Lin Su asked word by word. Qin Sheng nodded without hesitation and said, "Yes." Lin Su said calmly, "If you still treat me as your girlfriend, then tell me, what's going on?" Since Lin Su had already said so, Qin Sheng realized the weight of Lin Su's words. If he insisted on not saying, maybe Lin Su would really be angry. Such a woman would not allow others to lie to her, let alone treat her as a fool. Chapter 155. Chapter 155. Get out. Some men, no matter how much they suffered and how much they were wronged, would rather swallow everything in their stomach than let their woman know. Because they felt that as his woman, he should give her happiness and comfort instead of endless worry and fear. Qin Sheng was the same. He did not want anyone to worry about him. However, this time, he could not win against Lin Su, who was more domineering. Although Lin Su acted like a little woman in front of him recently, that was because their relationship had changed. Lin Su had become his girlfriend, so she purposely put away her aura. But at this moment, Lin Su naturally would not let Qin Sheng do as he pleased. She had to figure out what was going on. A normal person's body would definitely be smooth, but Qin Sheng's body was full of scars. Except for the wound that was bandaged this time, there were several other unimaginable scars on other parts of his body. Lin Su did not know why she felt a little pain in her heart. It was so painful that she seemed to be unable to breathe. She did not know when she had already burst into tears. She felt sad and distressed. Qin Sheng could not stand women's tears the most. It used to be Su Qin, and now it was Lin Su. He slowly took 2 steps forward, hugged Lin Su's shoulder, and then stretched out his hand to wipe away the tears on Lin Su's face. He smiled bitterly and said, "It's not a big deal. Why are you crying? Your man is an unkillable cockroach. He will recover in a few days." Lin Su still did not speak and kept crying. This was the second time she had cried in front of Qin Sheng. The first time was at the birthday party a few days ago, when she was moved by Qin Sheng's unexpected surprise. This time, she was crying because she felt sorry for Qin Sheng. Lin Su did not just let it go. She said with a slightly crying tone, "Who did it?" Qin Sheng did not know how to explain. He thought quickly and finally could only say, "On the way, we met a road robbery. There were few people on the mountain road. When there were basically no cars at night, we fell into their trap. They outnumbered us. Fortunately, Lao Chong and I were skilled, so we were slightly injured and finally escaped." "Then what about these?" Lin Su did not believe Qin Sheng easily. She pointed at Qin Sheng's old scars and asked. Qin Sheng laughed and said, "These are all old injuries. When I was in Zhongnan Mountains, I often ran into the mountains to play. It is inevitable that I would get hurt. In the past 2 years, I visited famous mountains and rivers, and also had a few accidents and got injured." "Really?" Lin Su knew that no matter how she asked him, he might not tell her the truth. Perhaps he did not want her to worry. Hence, Lin Su had already given up. Qin Sheng said in a powerful and resonant voice, "It's absolutely true. Who would I lie to? You?" "I'll believe you for now," Lin Su said, wiping away her tears gently. However, she was still suspicious and decided to find someone to investigate what was going on. Qin Sheng teased Lin Su and said, "Your makeup is ruined from crying. You can go find a pretty one, Lin Su said disapprovingly. If she was ugly, then there were not many pretty girls in Shanghai. She then picked up Qin Shing's clothes from the side and said, "Hurry up and put on your clothes, don't catch a cold." No matter how strong Lin Su was, she was still a weak woman at this moment. She could not help but be shocked by Qin Shing. Of course, she knew what Qin Shing wanted to express, but she had never experienced this kind of thing before. She wanted to struggle subconsciously. However, Qin Shing no longer had any scruples. He directly kissed Lin Su's sexy lip. Lin Su was dumbfounded. This was her first kiss and Qin Shing had snatched it away just like that. Any woman, no matter if they were goddesses or fairies, in order to conquer their hearts, they would first have to conquer their bodies. Women who had never had any physical contact with you would have a world of difference in their feelings towards you. To put it simply, having sex with them and not having sex with them were two completely different concepts. Qin Shing did not dare to settle things in one go. He did not have the guts to do so. Moreover, he liked relationships to come naturally and progress step by step. Moreover, it was impossible for Lin Su to do so. Therefore, Qin Shing decided to take things step by step. She was forcefully kissed by Qin Shing just like that. Before Lin Su could come back to her senses, Qin Shing had already started to attack her teeth. Lin Su was a little angry at first, but she thought that she was already Qin Shing's girlfriend. It was human nature to do things between men and women. Moreover, it had already come to this, what else could she do? Therefore, she could only let Qin Shing take liberties with her, and completely gave up resisting. In life and work, Lin Su was an omnipotent strong woman. However, at this moment Lin Su really had no experience at all. Everything was led by Qin Shing. She could only subconsciously cooperate. Qin Shing was very restrained. He only kissed Lin Su simply. His hands hugged Lin Su obediently. He did not dare to do anything extra, for fear that Lin Su could not take it and would get angry. After an unknown period of time, Qin Shing finally let go of Lin Su. He gently separated them and stared at Qin Shing, who had gone soft, with a smirk on his face. Lin Su blushed and glared at Qin Shing fiercely. However, she did not know that at this moment she was really flirtatious. Rogue! Lin Su pushed Qin Shing away and snorted. Qin Shing deliberately covered his wound and pretended to shout. Lin Su immediately became nervous. She thought that she had hurt Qin Shing's wound. She quickly asked, "What's wrong?" "I'm teasing you." Qin Shing laughed. Lin Su was so angry that she was a little speechless. Was this man an enemy in her previous life? In this life, he came to find her to repay the debt. He really bullied her everywhere. Lin Su tidied up her clothes and said, "I have to go to the company later. You have a good rest in the afternoon." Qin Shing laughed and said, "Here? Do as you wish." Lin Su was too lazy to pay attention to Qin Shing. However, Qin Shing did not dare to be presumptuous. He could only smile and said, "Forget it. I'm afraid that you will come back and kill me. I'll go home first." Qin Shing and Lin Su went out together. He first sent Lin Su to the company, then he returned to Shilin Huayuan. When Lin Su returned to Poly Center, the beauty at the front desk quickly walked in front of her and whispered something in her ear. Lin Su frowned slightly and then went straight to the office. In the office, a man dressed in fancy clothes was standing in front of the French windows and smoking. The whole office was filled with smoke, which made Lin Su very disgusted. No one had ever dared to smoke in her office. "What are you doing here?" Lin Su asked very unhappily. The man threw the cigarette but on the ground and stepped on it to extinguish it. He turned around and stared at Lin Su with a smile. "My good sister, why do you think I'm here? If I don't come, I think you will elope with that loser." "That's my business, it has nothing to do with you." Lin Su snorted. After hearing this, the man laughed out loud and said, "Nothing to do with me? How could it have nothing to do with me? You're my sister, a woman of the Lin family. I really don't know what's going on in your head. Yen Chaozong is so outstanding, but you didn't choose him, but chose a loser with no background and no ability. Are you out of your mind? Get lost. Lin Su said angrily. The man said disapprovingly, I really regret that I did not witness the exciting scene that night. Otherwise, I will definitely make that loser unforgettable for life. But don't worry, the Yen family will definitely not let it go. After offending the Yen family and Yen Chaozong, you still want to survive in this Shanghai? You can only say that you are a fool's dream. I advise you to draw a line with that loser. Don't let the Yen family blame our Lin family. I asked you to get lost. Do you believe that I will ask the security to chase you out? Lin Su completely exploded. This was the reason why she was unwilling to go back to her home in Ningbo. If it was not to go back to see her grandmother, she would not be willing to face these people. Haha, do you think I want to come? I just happened to be in Shanghai for some business, so I helped my father to inform you that he wants you to go home this weekend. The man sneered and said, You can choose not to go back, but I reckon that the old man will come to Shanghai personally. I don't know what will happen then. After saying what needed to be said, the man laughed out loud and left, as if he was very happy to see this sister of his angry. After the man left, Lin Su forced herself to calm down. The angrier she was, the happier this kind of scumbag would be. As for what this scumbag said, she had already expected it. The moment she chose Qin Sheng, she knew that all of this was unavoidable. However, she really did not know whether she should go back or not. She stood in front of the window and thought for a long time, but she still could not make up her mind. She could only delay it for now. Then, she thought of Qin Sheng and immediately dialed a friend's number. She said, Help me check if any of Yen Chaozong's confidants have been to Sichuan these 2 days. When Qin Sheng was in trouble, Lin Su subconsciously thought of Yen Chaozong. If there was anyone that Qin Sheng had offended, then Yen Chaozong was the one that Qin Sheng had offended the most recently. Moreover, this was Yen Chaozong's style. He would definitely do such a thing, so Lin Su directly asked her friend to check on Yen Chaozong's movements. After Qin Sheng returned to Shilin Huayuan, he slept for a while, and then got up to read for a while. He waited until 6 or 7 o'clock before going out. At night, he asked Han Bing out for dinner. This girl had taken Xinxin shopping today. After returning to Shanghai, the two of them were closer. Obviously, Han Bing was taking the diplomatic route. Unfortunately, Qin Sheng and Lin Su had confirmed their relationship, but she still did not know. When Qin Sheng arrived at a rather high-end Western restaurant on the Bund, Han Bing and Xinxin were already waiting for him. After seeing Qin Sheng, Xinxin muttered, Brother, why are you so late? I'm not as leisurely as you guys, Qin Sheng said disapprovingly. One was a boss, the other was a student. Han Bing thought of what happened between Qin Sheng and his ex-girlfriend Su Qin that day and sneered, Who knows what you've been doing? What can I do? Qin Sheng said, amused. Han Bing stared at Qin Sheng and said, You're really mysterious recently. You're even busier than the president of the country. It's really difficult to find you. Qin Sheng quickly explained, Didn't I go on a business trip with Lao Chang? I'll only be back in the afternoon. Han Bing was quite interesting. She missed Qin Sheng a little when she did not see him. When she saw Qin Sheng, she always bickered with him. At this moment, she was too lazy to care about Qin Sheng and was busy ordering dishes with Xinxin. At this time, Qin Sheng's phone rang. After taking out his phone and seeing that it was Jiang Xianbang, Qin Sheng's expression changed slightly. He quietly stood up and left. Chapter 156. Make up mind. The second update. I haven't seen the second update for a long time, please subscribe. During this period of time, Jiang Xianbang's assets had almost been dealt with by Su Lanqing, including some properties around the country. At present, only the garden house on Middle Huaihai Road and Shangshan Ruoshui were left. As for Shangshan Ruoshui, if Qin Sheng had not said that Shui Qinyan was interested, Jiang Xianbang might have already reached an agreement with Boss Yi. No one thought that things would develop to this extent. Jiang Xianbang's preparation was almost a full retreat. It seemed that he had already prepared for the worst. When will it be handed over? Qin Sheng was slightly disappointed. After all, he regarded Shangshan Ruoshui as the first starting point and springboard after returning to Shanghai. On this platform, relying on Jiang Xianbang's background and support, he could accumulate enough connections and resources in just a few years to lay a solid foundation for future development. But if Shangshan Ruoshui changed hands, the new boss would obviously not support him so much. On the yacht in Victoria Harbor, Jiang Xianbang drank and said, "In the next week, Su Lanqing has already signed the agreement." "Okay, I understand," Qin Sheng said in a deep voice. Jiang Xianbang could inform him in advance, which was already very gratifying to Qin Sheng, which meant that Jiang Xianbang really regarded him as one of his own. Jiang Xianbang said with a smile, "Don't worry too much, old Yi will continue to train you. The position of the general manager of Shangshan Ruoshui will be yours sooner or later. Even if you take a step back, you can come to Hong Kong, there are more opportunities here." "Uncle Jiang, thank you," Qin Sheng said sincerely. Jiang Xianbang said casually, "I'm busy now, talk to you later." After the phone call, Qin Sheng returned to the restaurant. He was not in a good mood. Although he said so, in any place there was a change of ruler and a change of courtiers. Boss Yi obviously had his own considerations and plans after taking over Shangshan Ruoshui. After all, he did not know Boss Yi and had not seen Boss Yi, so he was somewhat uncertain. "What's wrong?" Han Bing saw Qin Sheng was in a daze and asked with some doubts. Qin Sheng came back to his senses and smiled. "Nothing, some work matters." "I don't think so," Han Bing said thoughtfully. The thing that bothered her the most now was the story between Qin Sheng and his ex-girlfriend. Although Hao Lei told her that they had broken up, Han Bing was still worried. To her, any woman who appeared in front of Qin Sheng was a threat. "You're right." Qin Sheng did not think too much about it. He laughed and said, "Then what do you think it is?" "Ex-girlfriend," Han Bing said casually. Hearing this, Qin Sheng almost spat out the mouthful of water that he had just drunk. Xin, who was next to him, was also stunned. Out of a woman's intuition, she felt that this matter was not simple. Otherwise, Han Bing would not have mentioned it. However, she really did not know whether Han Bing knew about the relationship between her brother and Su Qin. At least, she had never mentioned it. "What the hell?" Qin Sheng was stunned for a moment before he replied. Han Bing laughed and said, "I'm just kidding. Hurry up and order the dishes. I'm starving." The next day, Qin Sheng got up early and finished his jog. He drove to send flowers to Lin Su first. The shop owner was now familiar with him. After seeing him, he would take the initiative to wrap the flowers. Although Lin Su had now become his girlfriend, Qin Sheng did not intend to stop this habit. When he arrived at Shangshan Ruoshui, it was just the working hours. The artists and gentlemen had already prepared the reception work. During the time when Qin Sheng was not in the office, the reception department was completely handled by Yu Fengji and Liu Yuan. Most of the time, Wang Haichao was not in charge. However, in the last 2 days, he looked quite proud, which made Yu Fengji and Liu Yuan very puzzled. "You're finally back." As soon as he arrived at the office, Qin Sheng called Yu Fengji and Liu Yuan over. He wanted to know what happened in Shangshan Ruoshui these days from them. Yu Fengji sneered at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng laughed and said, "I'm very relieved to have you two elites here." "You are relieved, but Mizzen has been very unhappy with you these days. She vented her anger on our reception department when you were not here. And recently, the atmosphere in Shangshan Ruoshui is not right. It is said that Shangshan Ruoshui was sold by the big boss. The day before yesterday, a group of people came. Although they did not reveal their identity, everyone knew what they were doing. As Qin Shing's #1 confidant, Yu Fengji immediately reported to Qin Shing. At the same time, she also wanted to get some information from Qin Shing. Qin Shing was deep in thought. He did not expect Boss Yi to be so fast. No wonder Jiang Xianbang said last night that the two sides would be able to hand over within this week. Is it true? Liu Yuan took the initiative to ask. If it was really going to be acquired, then there would definitely be a personnel shock. He, the newly appointed deputy manager of the reception department, was in some danger. Yu Fengji was also waiting for Qin Shing's answer. Qin Shing said with a smile, "Since you already know, then I will tell you the truth. The big boss is really going to sell Shangshan Ruoshui." Why? Yu Fengji was a little surprised. She had already submitted herself to Qin Shing and pinned all her hopes on him. But Qin Shing's biggest support was the big boss. If the boss was changed, then who would still care about him? Maybe he would leave Shangshan Ruoshui. What would she do then? Qin Shing said casually, "This is the big boss's arrangement. Then what's your plan?" Yu Fengji frowned. This was what she was most concerned about. Qin Shing laughed and said, "Me? Of course, I will stay in Shangshan Ruoshui. Such a good job, I can't bear to leave. I can live for at least 10 more years if I can be with beautiful women every day." Brother Liu Fengji, don't think too much. Also tell the artists and young masters that even if the boss of Shangshan Ruoshui is changed, the treatment and personnel will not change. Let them work with peace of mind. Qin Shing told Yu Fengji and Liu Yuan. Liu Yuan and Yu Fengji nodded silently. After Liu Yuan left, Yu Fengji did not intend to leave. Qin Shing was puzzled and asked, "Is there anything else? Shangshan Ruoshui has changed owners. Your position is very awkward. You can climb so fast because of your relationship with the big boss. Don't you have a sense of crisis?" Yu Fengji sneered. She chose Qin Shing because she wanted to choose Qin Shing's future. Now that Qin Shing's future was bleak, she naturally wanted to make it clear to Qin Shing. Qin Shing asked, "I think you are not worried about me, but yourself. You have taken advantage of me so much. I haven't seen any return. Naturally, I don't want to suffer losses." Yu Fengji said very straightforwardly. This was the truth. Qin Shing got up and walked in front of Yu Fengji. He pinched her chin and said, "Don't worry, I will take you. The new boss is Boss Yi, one of the 6 VVIP members. He is a close friend of Mr. Jiang. Mr. Jiang has already told me that he will focus on training me. The position of the general manager of Shangshan Ruoshui will be mine sooner or later. I hope so. But before I see any benefits, I will not let you go too far," Yu Fengji said fiercely. After that, she turned around and left. Qin Shing looked at the back of Yu Fengji and laughed. This woman. After taking such a long leave, Qin Shing naturally had to report to Mizan. The moment Mizan stepped into the office, Qin Shing came in. Mizan said unhappily, "I thought you were going to resign." "Mizan, I can't bear to leave you," Qin Shing flattered. After Mizan sat down, she snorted and said, "Don't flatter me. I think you know better than anyone else about Shangshan Ruoshui. I will not talk about the past. Recently, you have to calm down. These 2 days, Boss Ye's team is doing due diligence. If it goes well, they may take over Shangshan Ruoshui this week. If you don't want to be fired after Boss Yi takes over, then stay in Shangshan Ruoshui and wait for the new general manager." Qin Shing quickly said, "Don't worry, Mizan. I think these days I will not take leave." "That's good," Mizan said doubtfully. In the next few days, Qin Shing did stay in Shangshan Ruoshui obediently. Boss Ye's team began to settle in Shangshan Ruoshui. The leader was a man wearing glasses. This man was 35 or 36 years old, very elegant and gentle. He was very polite to Changbaji, Mizan and Qin Shing. Now everyone knew that Shangshan Ruoshui was going to be acquired. Of course, no one could interfere with this level of things. The only thing they could do was to behave themselves. To Qinxing's surprise, Wang Haichao seemed to be a little strange. In the past, when he saw him, he would hide. Recently, he was very polite. He called Qinxing Manager Qin, which made Qinxing very surprised. He suspected that this guy might have taken the wrong medicine. Lin Su's mood was a little agitated these 2 days. The day after tomorrow was the weekend. She was not sure if she would go back to Ningbo. If she did not go back, her powerful boss might really come to Shanghai. At that time, this matter might be out of control. If she went back, she knew what she would face. Maybe it would be the pressure of the whole Lin family. These 2 days, she did not see Qinxing. She was a little busy here. Qinxing was also busy cooperating with Boss Ye's team to do due diligence, so they could only send text messages every day and occasionally make a phone call. After a long time, Lin Su still missed Qinxing, the man who always teased her, but had already entered the depths of her heart 2 years ago. As for the friend she asked to help investigate Yan Chaozong, there was no news at all. Just when Lin Su almost forgot about this matter, the friend finally called. The final news was that Yan Chaozong's confidant, Feng He, and the Yan family's old servant, Uncle Zhen, had indeed gone to Sichuan a few days ago. The 2 of them were seriously injured and had only returned to Shanghai last night. Hearing this, Lin Su finally understood everything. Why was Qinxing injured? Why did Qinxing and Chang Baji delay for a day before returning to Shanghai? The reason behind all this was Yan Chaozong. Just as she thought, she chose Qinxing and not Yan Chaozong. On the day of the birthday party, she indeed made Yan Chaozong lose face. Yan Chaozong could not do anything to her, but he would definitely find Qinxing to vent his anger. However, she did not expect that Yan Chaozong would be so direct. He directly sent people to southwest Sichuan to deal with Qinxing. She more or less knew Qinxing's skills. Chang Baji was obviously not an ordinary person. Even so, Qinxing was still injured. It could be seen how dangerous the experience that night was. Thinking of this, Lin Su felt a little heartache. She did not expect Qinxing to almost lose his life when they were just together. However, Qinxing endured these things alone. He did not want her to know and worry at all. Chapter 157. What was going on? The Lin family of Ningbo was rich for 3 generations, but unfortunately, they lived in a remote corner. Lin Su's status in the entire Lin family was rather special. How should she put it? Her father was a playboy when he was young. Even though he was married and had children, he was still womanizing outside. Her mother was one of them. Later, when she became pregnant with Lin Su, her mother did not tell the Lin family. Instead, she secretly gave birth to the child. It was not until she was seriously ill that she told the Lin family that Lin Su was the flesh and blood of the Lin family. Once the news spread, the entire Lin family was in chaos. Lin Chongding's first wife was determined not to let Lin Su enter the Lin family. However, Lin Chongding was somewhat hesitant. After all, she was his flesh and blood. He felt guilty towards Lin Su's mother. Moreover, Lin Su's mother was now on the verge of death. In the end, old Madame Lin made the decision to let Lin Su return to the Lin family. If Lin Chongding's first wife still wanted to cause trouble, then they could divorce. After old Madame Lin said that, the entire Lin family quieted down instantly. At that time, Lin Su's mother also passed away quietly. Hence, Lin Su returned to the Lin family at a very young age and lived a life without worrying about food or clothing. Lin Chongting did not care about this daughter of his, but old Madame Lin especially doted on Lin Su. When Lin Su was young, she slept with her grandmother. Lin Su was very sensible and more mature than her peers. However, it was precisely because of this that everyone in the same generation of the Lin family treated Lin Su as an outsider, especially her brother, who was Lin Chongting's first wife's son, Lin Zhe. The first wife did not take Lin Su seriously. However, with old Madame Lin suppressing her, she did not dare to do anything. Hence, Lin Su was not happy. Her current strong personality was also tempered by this environment. If she was not strong, others would bully her. Did she have to ask her grandmother for help every time? The thing that Lin Su disliked the most about the Lin family was that she had to listen to them for everything. Who to befriend, where to study and what to major, where to study and when to come back, where to work and what to do. Now, they directly arranged her marriage. This made Lin Su very disgusted, so she was very unwilling to return to the Lin family. This time, she wanted to say no. Because Boss Yi came to Shangshan Ruoshui today. The day after tomorrow, Shangshan Ruoshui would be officially acquired by Boss Yi. Su Lanqing signed the contract on behalf of Jiang Xianbang. From then on, the entire Shangshan Ruoshui would become Boss Ye's property. Today, the entire management team was here. No one dared to not give face to the new boss. They were afraid that once the new boss took the position, he would directly fire anyone who was not pleasing to the eye. The general manager, Su Lanqing, together with 2 deputy general managers, as well as the managers of the reception department, security department, finance department and administration department were all present. Boss Ye's old Maybach appeared at Shangshan Ruoshui at 8 o'clock sharp. When Boss Yi got off the car, Su Lanqing took Mizan and Chang Baji to greet him. The others stood behind and applauded. Qin Xing stared at Boss Yi, who just got off the car. Compared to Jiang Xianbang's figure, Boss Ye's figure was really too thin. Jiang Xianbang could be the weight of 2.5 Boss Yi. Boss Ye's hair was mostly white. The outline of his face was very three-dimensional. He was a little hunched, but his whole person was very imposing, especially his murderous eyes and aquiline nose. This kind of man was obviously unscrupulous. After Boss Yi got off the car, he smiled and waved to greet everyone. Then he shook hands with Su Lanqing and walked into Shangshan Ruoshui surrounded by the crowd. This was the second time he entered Shangshan Ruoshui since he became a shareholder. The first time was when Shangshan Ruoshui opened for business. The second time, he did not expect to become the new owner. In addition to Boss Yi, there was also Han Zhengdong, who was responsible for due diligence these 2 days. It was said that he was very likely to become the new general manager of Shangshan Ruoshui. As for Su Lanqing, Jiang Xianbang would arrange other things for him. In addition, there was also a cynical young man who looked a bit like Boss Yi. Qin Xing guessed that he might be Boss Ye's son or relative. The crowd followed Boss Yi and others into Shangshan Ruoshui. In the hall, all the artists and gentlemen stood in 2 rows to welcome them. The cynical young man saw so many high-quality beauties. His eyes widened and he was a little excited. Boss Yi did not go in. When he walked to the stairs, he stopped and stood in the hall to look at the crowd. He said with a smile, "Thank you everyone. About Shangshan Ruoshui I think everyone already knows. Old Jiang and I have been friends for many years and I am also one of the main shareholders of Shangshan Ruoshui. Now old Jiang is preparing to emigrate overseas. Shangshan Ruoshui is his painstaking effort. I don't want it to be tainted by outsiders. So I bought it. I hope everyone can support me in the future." Boss Yi said very politely. Everyone applauded. After the applause stopped, Boss Yi said again, "I know everyone must be worried, so I want to state my position here. After Shangshan Ruoshui is acquired, except for the general manager who will be held by Han Zhengdong, other positions will not change in a short period of time. As for Mr. Su you are familiar with, I also want to keep him. Unfortunately, Mr. Su is old Jiang's confidant. Old Jiang has other important positions. I can't take away the beauty of others. and the treatment that everyone is most concerned about is still the same as before. As long as everyone works hard, the treatment will be improved. I am not a stingy boss. With Boss Ye's level, he did not need to show up to buy an ordinary club. But it may be because of the importance of Shangshan Ruoshui and his relationship with Jiang Xianbang, so he specially came here. That's what I want to say. Other things will be arranged by Mr. Han Jingdong, Boss Yi said with a smile. Su Lanqing and the cynical young man accompanied Boss Yi upstairs. The others stayed in the hall. Han Jingdong continued to appease everyone's emotions on behalf of Boss Yi. It did not take long for it to end. At this time, Su Lanqing called Qin Xing and motioned Qin Xing to come up. When Qin Xing came to the upstairs private room, Su Lanqing and Han Jingdong were chatting with Boss Yi. He was obviously qualified for this level. After Su Lanqing saw Qin Xing, he smiled and said, "Mr. Yi, this is Qin Xing." Boss Yi looked up at Qin Xing slightly and said, "This young man is very spirited. Not bad." "Hello, Mr. Yi," Qin Xing nodded slightly. The young man next to Qin Xing casually glanced at him and no longer paid attention to him. He played with the guzheng in the private room and seemed to be very interested. Boss Yi waved his hand and said, "Sit down. Old Jiang told me a lot about you. He said that you have a lot of relationship with him. He asked me to take care of you. Last time, I just wanted to talk to you. I didn't expect that you were not here. Today I finally caught you. Mr. Yi, you are welcome." Qin Xing did not dare to be arrogant, but he was still full of confidence. Boss Yi continued, "Qin Xing, although Shangshan Ruoshui was acquired by me, you don't need to think too much. No matter how old Jiang treats you, I will not treat you badly. As long as you make me satisfied, there will be a bigger stage waiting for you in the future." "Thank you, Mr. Yi. I will not let you down." Qin Xing nodded quickly. Boss Yi stood up happily and said, "Well, Jingdong, the rest of the things you discuss with Mr. Su. I will not come to the signing ceremony the day after tomorrow. At that time, you are fully responsible." "Okay, Mr. Yi," Han Jingdong said respectfully. Everyone respectfully sent Boss Yi off. When they walked to the hall, there were still many people gathered there. Mizan, Chang Baji and the others were among them. Yu Fengji saw Qin Xing go up alone just now. She finally believed what Qin Xing said 2 days ago. After all, even Mizan and Vice President Chang were not qualified. At this time, the cynical young man suddenly opened his mouth and said, "Dad, you go back first. I want to walk around here." Boss Yi was stunned, but did not say anything. He knew the nature of this kid, but they were all men, so he could understand. Han Jingdong looked up at Wang Haichao next to him and arranged, "Xiao Wang, you take Mr. Yi to visit Shangshan Ruoshui." This arrangement made many people in Shangshan Ruoshui a little surprised. Maybe other people felt nothing, but Qin Xing, Yu Fengji and others felt that it was somewhat worth asking. After all, Wang Haichao stood behind the crowd, and Yu Fengji and Liu Yuan were in front of him. When Wang Haichao heard this, he was instantly happy. He quickly ran out and took this Mr. Yi to visit Shangshan Ruoshui. Qin Xing did not say much. He accompanied Su Lanqing and Han Jingdong to send Boss Yi to the car and left. After sending Boss Yi, Qin Xing and others came back. Han Jingdong took the initiative to ask Mizan, Chang Baji, Qin Xing and many other management to go out for a drink. Qin Xing could only apologize. "Mr. Han, I'm really sorry. I have something to do tonight. I'm afraid I can't go. I'll invite Mr. Han another day." "It doesn't matter. Do your thing first." Han Jingdong laughed. He did not feel that Qin Xing did not give him face. After all, after these days of contact with Qin Xing, he felt that this young man was not bad. When Qin Xing came out of Shangshan Ruoshui, Yu Fengji followed him out and directly got into Qin Xing's car. Qin Xing did not understand and said, "What's the matter? I always feel that Wang Haichao is not normal during this time. He seems to be a little proud. Just now Han Zhengdong arranged for him to receive Boss Ye's son. Do you think there will be something between them? Yu Fengji said bluntly. Qin Xing laughed and said, Why do you think so much? I hope I think too much. Yu Fengji shook her head and then asked, What's your plan for tonight? Why don't you invite me to dinner? No time, I still have something to do. Qin Xing directly refused. If there was nothing, it would be fine. Yu Fengji directly snorted and said, Unromantic, stop the car. Qin Xing did not spoil her. If she said to stop the car, then he would stop. He directly stepped on the brake and stopped the car by the roadside. Yu Fengji snorted coldly and opened the door to get out of the car. After Qin Xing drove away, Yu Fengji was so angry that she made threatening gestures. In a quiet literary restaurant in Pudong, the resident singer sang a folk song of an unknown singer. Lin Su drank red wine and listened to the song quietly, then waited for Qin Xing's arrival. Qin Xing arrived late and said very embarrassedly, Something came up and delayed me. It's okay. I just arrived for a while. Lin Su smiled lightly. After Qin Xing sat down, Lin Su poured a glass of red wine for Qin Xing. Qin Xing said worriedly, Why are you looking for me in such a hurry? Is there something urgent? Lin Su put down the wine glass and stared at Qin Xing. She slowly said, I want to talk to you about something. Say it. As long as I can do it, I will do my best. Qin Xing said without hesitation. Lin Su squinted and said, I want you to accompany me back to Ningbo. Chapter 158. No ifs, begging for subscriptions, begging for monthly tickets. Lin Su made this decision after careful consideration. Things had developed to this point, and now everyone knew her relationship with Qin Xing. No matter how much pressure she was under, she would never turn back. She might as well lay her cards on the table. Qin Xing stared at Lin Su with a puzzled look, but Lin Su was still smiling calmly. After a long time, Qin Xing came to his senses and asked weakly, Why should I accompany you back to Ningbo? Lin Su said straightforwardly, Back to the Lin family, to meet my parents. Qin Xing was stunned again. He had thought of meeting her parents, but he felt that it was unlikely. After all, he and Lin Su had not reached that point yet. How could Lin Su bring him back to the Lin family? However, Lin Su's answer shocked Qin Xing again. Lin Su did not play by the rules and completely disrupted Qin Xing's thoughts. He did not know what to say for a while. What's wrong? Are you afraid? Lin Su laughed. To be honest, she was not sure whether Qin Xing would be willing to accompany her back to the Lin family. After all, the whole Lin family had already acknowledged Yan Chaozong's existence. If Qin Xing went to the Lin family, he would definitely face endless pressure. Lin Su was willing to bring him back, which meant that she really believed in him. So Qin Xing gritted his teeth and said, I'm not afraid of death. Why would I be afraid of meeting my parents? You're going to face the whole Lin family and you may be wronged. So are you sure? Lin Su asked again. If Qin Xing did not even know this, he would have lived for so many years in vain. A deep-rooted big family, used to live like a prince, had all kinds of faces. At that time, he would inevitably be ridiculed and rolled his eyes. But Lin Su was not afraid. If he continued to be long-winded, he would really not be a man. So Qin Xing said in a manly manner, It's settled. When will we go back? What do I need to prepare? I've prepared everything in the morning the day after tomorrow. You don't have to worry, Lin Su said with relief. Actually, I know they will definitely not agree. But I just want them to meet you and tell them by the way that this is the man that I, Lin Su, have chosen. Don't think about using me to unite with the Yan family anymore. No matter how much hardship I have to suffer in the future, I will accept it. Hearing this, Qin Xing was a little moved. He really wanted to look up and ask God, why did he make Lin Su like this? Putting aside the fact that he paled in comparison to Yen Chaozong, even if he was compared to Lin Su's other pursuers, he would still be lagging behind by 800 lap. He didn't have good looks, no family background, and no money. Why? He could only say that it was the good fortune of the Qin family that had been accumulated for generations. Qin Xing held Lin Su's somewhat cold hand and said, "Don't worry. No matter how useless I am in this life, I will never let you suffer. Sooner or later, I will let you tell everyone that the man you chose is a man of indomitable spirit." Lin Su's heart sank. "I'm for that day," Su said smiling. For a woman to be willing to choose a man when he had nothing, it required more than a little courage, because there were too few women like this in this society. Moreover, this woman was 100 times better than this man. No matter how high this man climbed in the future, if he let this woman down, no matter how successful this man was in this life, he would only be a scum. Everything Lin Su did made Qin Xing feel that knowing her was the luckiest thing in his life. After dinner, Qin Xing sent Lin Su home. Downstairs, Qin Xing hugged Lin Su and kissed her on the forehead. Lin Su looked up slightly and her smile made Qin Xing intoxicated. Back to Shilin Huayuan, Qin Xing was in a dilemma. The day after tomorrow was the signing ceremony of Shangshan Ruoshui. As the manager of the reception department, he could not be absent. But he had promised Lin Su to go back to Ningbo to meet her parents. He could not stand her up. Weighing the pros and cons, Qin Xing could only choose to go back to Ningbo with Lin Su. He would ask for leave from Mizan tomorrow, and then inform Han Zhengdong. He was afraid that Han Zhengdong would say that he did not give him face. Not long after, Chang Baji, who went out with Han Zhengdong and others at night, came back. Qin Xing, who was reading in the living room, slowly got up and said, "How was the evening?" Chang Baji scolded, "That Han Zhengdong's alcohol tolerance is really good. He was forced to drink a lot tonight. But I really can't tell that this woman, Angie, is really good at drinking. But I feel that this Han Zhengdong is not a good person." The way he looked at Mizan was with strong desire. "I am afraid that if he becomes the general manager of Shangshan Ruoshui will not be able to protect the foul atmosphere. He came to Shangshan Ruoshui just to get through this buffer period. He will leave sooner or later. People like him are naturally not willing to stay in Shangshan Ruoshui," Qin Xing said casually. Chang Baji nodded, "That's true. Because of this, we have so many beautiful women in Shangshan Ruoshui. I'm afraid that someone will be taken advantage of." "Do you think it can be avoided? Old Su is clean, but Han Zhengdong may not be. Even if he does not take the initiative to harass, I'm afraid that someone will deliberately send themselves to the door." Qin Xing said disapprovingly. Chang Baji said casually, "We can't help it. By the way, what did you do at night?" Qin Xing explained, "Lin Su looked for me. I'm going to ask for leave again." "Ask for leave?" Chang Baji was confused. But he had long been used to Qin Xing's pace. How many days had he stayed in Shangshan Ruoshui? Qin Xing replied calmly, "Accompany her back to Ningbo to meet her parents." His words were like a sudden clap of thunder. Even Chang Baji, who had seen much of the world, was stunned. This was a little too fast, wasn't it? "Do you think it's unbelievable?" Chang Baji's reaction was expected. Qin Xing was scared to the point of peeing, let alone others. Chang Baji was a little embarrassed and said, "It's a little too fast. But maybe your feelings are there." "I don't care so much. Let's go. It will happen sooner or later. At worst, I'll be kicked out," Qin Xing said carelessly. Anyway, he was going to the Lin family the day after tomorrow. Qin Xing had made all the psychological preparations. He could do anything to him, but if they dared to bully Lin Su, he did not care about turning the Lin family upside down. Chang Baji fell into deep thought. There were some things he wanted to say but was unwilling to say. He looked hesitant, which was obviously not his character. What's wrong with you? I'm going to meet her parents. Why are you more nervous than me? Qin Shing was confused. Chang Baji sighed and said, Qin Shing, I don't know if I should say something. Then don't say it, Qin Shing said half-jokingly. He ended the conversation with one sentence. Chang Baji was obviously not used to young people's tricks. He stared at Qin Shing helplessly. Qin Shing laughed and said, Say it. What can't we say? Qin Shing, I always feel that you and Lin Su are getting along too fast. Maybe I don't know Lin Su. But to be honest, the gap between you and her needs you to struggle for 50 years. Don't you think it's a little strange? As Qin Shing's friend and brother, Chang Baji naturally did not want Qin Shing to be at a disadvantage. So he said bluntly. Qin Shing said with a gloomy face, Lao Chang, just say it. Is it possible that Lin Su agreed to be your girlfriend just to use you as a tool to reject Yan Chaozong and resist the arrangement of the Lin family? Chang Baji said unhurriedly. These words were a little hurtful. If he said it, it might make Qin Shing unhappy. But Chang Baji had been through ups and downs and was an outsider. He had seen all kinds of scenes and conspiracies. He had to consider it thoroughly. After Chang Baji finished speaking, Qin Shing was stunned. This was something he had never thought about. He understood Chang Baji's meaning, so he was not angry. After all, it was for his own good. He fell into deep thought. He recalled the time he spent with Lin Su and his understanding of Lin Su. He always felt that Lin Su could not be such a person. So he did not suspect Lin Su at all. He said in a low voice, Lao Chang, thank you. I know you are doing it for my own good. But I don't think Lin Su will do this. This is not her character. Even if she really planned it this way, I will suffer a loss. I'm just saying. Chang Baji laughed and then changed the topic. But you want to take leave the day after tomorrow. I'm afraid it will be a little difficult. The day after tomorrow is the signing ceremony. You don't give Han Zhengdong face. I'm afraid Han Zhengdong will think too much. I don't have time to care about this now. I'll talk to Mizan tomorrow and then talk to Han Zhengdong. Even if they don't approve, I have to go. Qin Shing shrugged. The next morning, Qin Shing waited for Mizan to go to work and went straight to the office. They casually talked about last night's drinking party. Then Qin Shing said, Mizan, I want to tell you something. What is it? Mizan was amused by Qin Shing's joke just now. She had not recovered yet. Qin Shing was also a little embarrassed. I have something urgent tomorrow. I want to ask for leave. Sure enough, after hearing this, Ms. An's face instantly turned pale. She stared at Qin Shing and said, Qin Shing, say it again? Ms. An, I know I shouldn't. But tomorrow is really urgent. I can't help it. Qin Shing gritted his teeth. Ms. An slammed the table, then walked directly to Qin Shing and said, Qin Shing, what do you think Shangshan Ruoshui is? You know what day it is tomorrow. Do you think it's appropriate to ask for leave tomorrow? It's not appropriate, but I really can't help it, Qin Shing replied. Ms. An said with disappointment, if it was in the past, I might turn a blind eye. But now I absolutely can't. Besides, you know better than anyone that you used to work for the big boss. No matter how big a mistake you make, no one can do anything to you. But now it's different. Shangshan Ruoshui was acquired by Boss Yi. The new general manager is Han Zhengdong. If you ask for leave tomorrow, isn't it a slap in his face? Qin Shing was rendered speechless by her words. After a while, Ms. An calmed down. She looked at Qin Shing and said, What is it that makes you ask for leave tomorrow? I'll accompany my girlfriend home to meet her parents, Qin Shing said truthfully. Ms. An frowned slightly, then said, Can't it be another day? Their family is a little special. I don't decide the day, Qin Shing said casually. Ms. An asked again, If I don't go? There is no if, Qin Shing said very straightforwardly. Chapter 159. It's too big. Mizzen was more tactful and did not want to offend Qin Shing. She had to thank Qin Shing more or less. If Qin Shing did not appear, she would not be promoted to vice president. Mizzen kicked the ball to Han Zhengdong, just like how she kicked the ball to Su Lanqing before. She could handle other things, but this kind of thing was a bit difficult for her. Mizzen acquiesced. Qin Shing had achieved his goal. The next step was to greet Han Zhengdong. It was easy to talk to Mizzen, but Qin Shing really did not know how to talk to Han Zhengdong. Han Zhengdong did not come today because everything had been handled. The contract would be officially signed at noon tomorrow. At that time, Shangshan Ruoshui would officially be transferred to Boss Yi. Han Zhengdong would also perform his duties and become the new general manager of Shangshan Ruoshui. No one knew what would happen to Shangshan Ruoshui in the future. Perhaps they knew that Shangshan Ruoshui was about to have a new owner and had nothing to do with Jiang Xianbang, so the business of Shangshan Ruoshui had recovered. Qin Shing was busy the whole morning, leading the artists and gentlemen to greet the guests. Until the noon break, Qin Shing had time to call Han Zhengdong. Sitting in the office, Qin Shing dialed the phone anxiously. Han Zhengdong smiled and said, "Hey Qin Shing, why did you think of calling me? Is there something in Shangshan Ruoshui?" Qin Shing forced a smile and said, "Mr. Han, there is nothing in Shangshan Ruoshui, but I have something to tell you." "You?" Han Zhengdong was stunned for a moment and then said, "What's the matter?" "Mr. Han, I have something urgent tomorrow. I may not be able to attend the signing ceremony. I'm really sorry." After all, he had to stay here in the future. No matter what, Qin Shing had to greet Han Zhengdong. In the future, he would be the person in charge here. Although Boss Yi would focus on training him and he might become the general manager one day, there were too many variables that did not happen. Who could guarantee it? Hearing what Qin Shing said, it turned out that he could not attend the signing ceremony tomorrow. Han Zhengdong said in a bad tone, "Manager Qin, what is more important than the signing ceremony?" "Mr. Han, I'm really sorry. It is indeed a bit urgent," Qin Shing said helplessly. The feeling of asking for help was really uncomfortable, but what could he do? Han Zhengdong was still busy outside, so he did not have time to argue with Qin Shing over such a small matter. So he said directly, "I must see you at the signing ceremony tomorrow. As for the rest, do as you see fit." After he finished speaking, Han Zhengdong hung up the phone. It was equivalent to completely blocking the road. It could be considered as using Qin Shing to establish his power. He definitely thought that Qin Shing would definitely not be absent unless he wanted to completely offend him, the new general manager. However, he had underestimated Qin Shing. Qin Shing was definitely not the kind of person who was willing to surrender. After Han Zhengdong hung up the phone, Qin Shing felt somewhat helpless. Anyway, he had already told Han Zhengdong that he had to go to Ningbo tomorrow. At worst, he would not have this job. He was busy until 7 o'clock in the evening. After Qin Shing handed over everything to Brother Liu, he was ready to find Xia Ding for a drink. When he walked out of the office, he happened to meet Wang Haichao, who was full of joy. Wang Haichao smiled very brightly and said, "Mr. Han, you can rest assured that I have prepared the things you want for you. I will send them to your mailbox later." Qin Shing happened to hear this sentence. Logically, Wang Haichao and Han Zhengdong should not have any contact. Shangshan Ruoshui had not been acquired yet, and there would be no intersection of work. Why did Wang Haichao feel so familiar with Han Zhengdong? Thinking of what Yu Fengji said yesterday, Qin Shing could not help but pay attention. Wang Haichao also saw Qin Shing and quickly said, "Then you go ahead, I will not disturb you." After hanging up the phone, Wang Haichao looked up at Qin Shing and said, "Manager Qin, are you off work?" "Yes," Qin Shing said casually. "Have you arranged everything for the evening?" "Rest assured, I have arranged everything. These are my old acquaintances. There will be no mistakes, Wang Haichao said proudly. He did not know whether it was because he won 5 million in the lottery or something else. Recently, he was really happy. Qin Sheng chuckled and said, "Call me if there is anything, I will go back first." After Qin Sheng walked far away, Wang Haichao tore off the hypocritical mask and revealed his original face. He muttered to himself, "I will let you show off for a few more days. I will definitely let you pay back the grievances I have suffered." In a quiet jazz bar near the river at number 1 Zhongliang Ocean View, Xia Ding, who had been working hard recently, was searching for prey. The quality of the beauties who came here were good. When he was free, he would sit here and drink a few glasses. If he was lucky, he could even hook up with one or two and have a break-up love in the morning. Xia Ding crossed his legs and ordered a bottle of the special whiskey here. He absent-mindedly smoked a cigar and occasionally looked up at the beauties in the bar. He had to say that this guy really knew how to enjoy life. It was good to be rich. When Qin Sheng came in, Xia Ding had already found a prey and was ready to take action. After seeing Qin Sheng, he had to give up. After all, between women and brothers, Xia Ding would always choose the latter. "Why are there no beauties accompanying you tonight? This is not your style." Qin Sheng found Xia Ding and joked. The lights in the bar were a little dim, and the beautiful singer was humming an English song. The beauty was wearing a tight black dress, and her small waist was curvaceous. Her figure was really too sexy, and coupled with her constantly twisting body, she was sexy and hot, and successfully attracted the attention of all the men present. Xia Ding took a sip of wine and smiled. "I came here to hunt for beauties. How can I have a chance with a girlfriend?" "That's all?" Qin Sheng laughed and scolded. Xia Ding laughed and said, "How have you been recently? When are you free? Let's go to Beijing together. Lauer called me a few times and said that he misses us. He can't make time, so he asked us to go." "The new year is coming, no?" Qin Sheng directly refused. To be honest, he really did not want to go to Beijing. As for the reason, only he knew. Xia Ding rolled his eyes and ignored Qin Sheng. "Why do you have time to drink with me tonight?" Xia Ding asked casually. It was indeed Qin Sheng who took the initiative to ask him. Qin Sheng took a deep breath and said, "For myself." "Yourself? What do you mean? What are you thinking?" Xia Ding suddenly thought of Qin Sheng's trip to Gansu a few months ago. At that time, he was really shocked. Fortunately, nothing happened later. Qin Sheng explained honestly, "Tomorrow, I will accompany Lin Su back to Ningbo to meet her parents. I don't feel confident. After all, it's my first time." When Qin Sheng had been with Su Qin in the past, although he had met Su Qin's parents, it had not been as formal as this time. In addition, with his relationship with Lin Su and the powerful background of the Lin family, Qin Sheng really did not have much confidence. Xia Ding's reaction was similar to Chang Baji's. He was directly stunned. After coming to his senses, he gave Qin Sheng a thumbs up and said, "Boss, you are really awesome. I, Xia Ding, admire you. Teach me quickly, what unique skills do you have to pick up girls? I can worship you as my teacher." F***ck off. Speaking of picking up girls, you are a master. I am just showing off in front of an expert. Qin Sheng laughed and scolded him. Xia Ding replied disapprovingly, "Then why can't I get Goddess Lin? Once you make a move, you directly get the goddess, and the progress is amazing. In less than a month, you directly meet her parent." Alas, it is really hard to pass the test of the Lin family tomorrow. Qin Sheng lit a cigarette and sighed. Xia Ding poured whiskey for Qin Sheng, picked up the glass and smiled. "Don't think about that. Let's not go home until we are drunk tonight." Qin Sheng did not dare to go home until he was drunk. He had to go back to Ningbo with Lin Su early in the morning tomorrow. It was definitely not the best state to be drunk. At that time, he would smell of alcohol, and Lin Su would probably be very disgusted. When they were almost drunk, a beautiful woman took the initiative to hook up with Xia Ding. The beauty had a good appearance and temperament. Qin Xing remembered that the beauty passed by their table when she went to the bathroom. At that time, she seemed to stay for a few seconds. After coming back again, she sat directly next to Xia Ding. She stared at the Aston Martin car key next to him and the Patek Philippe on Xia Ding's wrist. Qin Xing instantly understood what was going on. This society was really full of tricks. Back to Shilin Huayuan, Qin Xing directly took a bath and went to sleep, to meet tomorrow's challenge in the best state. At 8 o'clock the next morning, Chang Baji sent Qin Xing to Lujiazui apartment. Qin Xing had no time to care about Changshan Ruoshui. He just asked Chang Baji to tell Han Zhengdong that he was really in a hurry and was really sorry. Qin Xing and Lin Su drove back to Ningbo. Lin Su sent a car over. It was a domineering Mercedes-Benz GLS. The prepared things had been packed in the trunk. After Qin Xing called Lin Su went downstairs. Today, Lin Su was extraordinarily temperament. It was obvious that she had dressed up carefully. Qin Xing was also dressed very spiritedly. This set of clothes was bought for him by Han Bing some time ago. At this time, the two stood together. It was more or less a match. Lin Su took the initiative to take Qin Xing's arm. Qin Xing looked down at her with a smile. At this time, the sun was just right. It seemed that a good life had just begun. From Shanghai to Ningbo, it took only 3 hours to walk across the sea bridge. Qin Xing and Lin Su had already had breakfast, so they set off directly. As Lin Su's full-time driver, Qin Xing took the initiative to drive. After the strong woman Lin Su got in the car, she turned on her laptop and concentrated on her work, but she was somewhat absent-minded. Yesterday, she called the old man and confirmed that she would go back today. At the same time, she also told the old man that she would bring Qin Xing home. On the other end of the phone, after the old man heard the news, he did not speak for a long time. Lin Su did not speak either. They were so silent. After a long time, the old man finally said, "Tomorrow, everyone in the family will be there. Are you sure you want to bring him back?" "Yes," Lin Su said softly. The old man sighed and said faintly, "Okay, then you bring him back." Any family, the more deep-rooted it was, the more prosperous it was. The Lin family was the same. There were a lot of direct and collateral relatives. Lin Su was aware of the situation tomorrow. She was afraid that she and Qin Xing would not be able to handle it. Chapter 160. Was this really okay? The mansion of the Lin family was very close to the seaside, covering an area of at least 100 acres. Except for a few buildings in the middle of the Republic of China, it was surrounded by greenery and supporting facilities, which looked like a small park. When Qin Xing drove along the road, he seemed to be calm on the surface, but in fact, he had been shocked long ago. This was the real rich and powerful family, which was far from being comparable to those nouveau riche. He had thought that the Lin family was just a local family in Ningbo, but now it seemed that he had underestimated the power of the Lin family. They parked the Mercedes-Benz GLS in the garden outside the main building. Qin Xing and Lin Su did not rush to get out of the car. At this time, there were many luxury cars parked here. The worst was an Audi A6L, and the best were 2 Rolls-Royces. Qin Xing looked calm, looking at the 4- or 5-story buildings not far away, which were a bit like the mansions of the tycoons in the TV series, so he could feel the background of a family. While Qin Xing was observing the architectural layout of the Lin's house, Lin Su was staring at him. There were so many cars parked at the door. Naturally, Lin Su knew that those who should come had already called. They were just waiting for her and Qin Xing to start the joint hearing of the 6 ministries. Qin Xing felt Lin Su's eyes, then looked at her. Lin Su looked a little nervous and worried, so Qin Xing took the initiative to hold her hand. Lin Su smiled and said, "Are you ready?" Qin Xing nodded slightly and said, "Yes." "Then let's go," Lin Su said softly. After getting out of the car, Qin Shing opened the trunk and took out the things that Lin Su had prepared. These things were bought by Lin Su herself, but there were only 2 of them, one for her grandma, one for her dad, and one for her aunt. At this time, a beautiful woman in a sweater and slippers ran to them. The beautiful woman looked young, and there were still some traces of immaturity. After she approached them, she shouted, "Sister, brother-in-law, you are finally back." This beautiful woman was called Lin Yu, the daughter of Lin Su's second uncle. She had a good relationship with Lin Su since childhood. This year, she just came back from studying in England and had entered the Lin family business. She had always wanted to go to Shanghai to find Lin Su, but Lin Su's second uncle did not agree. However, this beautiful woman was a little unconventional. She directly called Qin Shing brother-in-law when they met for the first time, which made Qin Shing and Lin Su feel a little embarrassed, but they could only acquiesce. "Hello," Qin Shing said politely. "Brother-in-law, you're so handsome. You have an indescribable temperament. No wonder my sister lost her soul." Lin Yu was very cheerful, probably because she had stayed abroad for a long time. Lin Su laughed and said, "You have a sweet mouth." Lin Yu kindly reminded him as she said, "However, brother-in-law, you should be mentally prepared. The demons and ghosts inside are more difficult to deal with. I'm afraid that you will suffer losses." This girl was really interesting to compare her biological parents and a group of relatives to demons and ghosts. "Don't talk nonsense," Lin Su said angrily. Although this was the first time they met, Qin Shing liked this girl's character very much, especially her bright smile, which was like the bright sun in winter, making people feel very comfortable. The 3 of them were not in a hurry to go in. Lin Su naturally wanted to get some information from this little spy. She frowned and asked, "Who's here today? There are so many people." Lin Yu shrugged and said, "Uncle and aunt, my parents, 2 aunts and uncles, aunt's younger sister, and the rest of them are my brothers and sisters. You haven't arrived yet, but they have already started to criticize you. Sister, I'm afraid that you'll be in danger today." "Don't worry, I'll protect your sister," Qin Shing said in a domineering manner. Lin Yu smiled happily and said, "Brother-in-law, I like men like you." Lin Su stared at Lin Yu and asked with concern, "Where's Grandma?" Lin Yu said casually, "Grandma is in the Buddha Hall." "Does she know that I'm back?" Lin Su asked thoughtfully. Lin Yu said honestly, "Yes, she knows. She specially asked the kitchen to make your favorite longjing prawns." Lin Su frowned slightly. Why did Grandma choose to go to the Buddha Hall at this time, knowing that she would come back today? Could it be that Grandma was very disappointed in her? Besides Qin Shing, her biggest support today was Grandma. If Grandma was on her side, no matter how the 7 aunts and 7 aunts in the Buddha Hall jumped around, they would not do anything to her and Qin Shing. Lin Su sighed and said, "Let's go in." In the living room on the first floor of the Lin family, the direct descendants of the Lin family were talking and laughing. The Lin family was rooted in Ningbo. Relying on the influence of the Zhujiang businessmen, their business had reached all over the country in recent years. However, the headquarters was still in Ningbo. All the direct descendants and collateral descendants relied on the Lin family to make a lot of money. Everyone's life was in full swing. However, the Lin family had reached a bottleneck in the past 2 years. It was somewhat difficult for them to go further. Lin Chongting and Lin Chonghe had thought of many ways, but they could not squeeze into a higher level. They could only rely on the blessings of their ancestors to do whatever they wanted in Zhedong. Therefore, they attached great importance to this marriage. It was not that the Lin family had to unite with the Yen family by marriage, but that the Lin family could only rely on this relationship to go further. It was just that Lin Su's happiness had been sacrificed. However, they naturally did not take it seriously. Anyway, it was not cutting off their flesh. As long as they could achieve their ultimate goal, they were willing to sacrifice anything. Everyone knew that Lin Su would come back today, and they also knew that Lin Su would bring that so-called boyfriend back. In Lin Su's aunt's words, where did she get the confidence to bring that arrogant man back? The living room was full of people. The men were talking about men's matters, while the women were talking about women's matters. They did not interfere with each other and had different topics. Sister and brother-in-law are back, Lin Yu shouted arrogantly. After hearing this, everyone became silent almost at the same time. They looked at Qin Sheng and Lin Su at the door at the same time. Their attention was all focused on Qin Sheng. If looks could kill, Qin Sheng would have been reincarnated hundreds of times by now. Qin Sheng, who had experienced countless life and death situations, could naturally withstand this kind of situation. With a smile on his face, he looked at the people present in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. He began to ponder about these people's tempers and characters. Lin Yu, come here, Lin Changhe said with a gloomy face. Lin Yu saw that her father's tone was not friendly, so she lowered her head and said, "Oh." She ran over eagerly in case she would be scolded later. What do you think the Lin family is, bringing back any Tom, Dick, or Harry? On the sofa, a graceful lady who was dressed elegantly and still had a charm murmured in a low voice. Her voice was not loud, but it was loud enough for everyone present to hear. It was Lin Su's aunt who said this. In the whole Lin family, Lin Su was the one who hated Lin Su the most. She had thought that she could get a foothold after giving birth to a son, but she did not expect that Lin Chongting would fool around outside and eventually have a daughter. Would she fight with her son for the family property in the future? Although Lin Su had already thought about what might happen, she was still shocked by the aunt's acrimonious and mean words. She did not even have the most basic manners. This sentence was not only scolding Qin Sheng, but also her, because she had been brought into the Lin family in the same way more than 20 years ago. Lin family, you really did not let me down, Qin Sheng sneered in his heart. If it were not for Lin Su, he might not have any contact with this group of people in this life. Even if he did, who dared to talk to him like this? Of course, he would not tolerate it. However, it was because of Lin Su that Qin Sheng had to bear it no matter how much he had been wronged today. Because in front of such a family, only strength could conquer them, the rest was nonsense. Qin Sheng held the gifts in his hand with one hand, and then held Lin Su's hand and continued to walk forward without hesitation. This action also made many people in the Lin family uncomfortable. When he walked in front of everyone, Qin Sheng put the gifts on the ground and said politely, "Hello, uncle and auntie." "Who is your uncle and auntie?" Lin Su's aunt's younger sister said sarcastically. It was true that birds of a feather flocked together. They were all born in the same mother's womb. Qin Sheng was still not angry. He held Lin Su's hand tightly and gave her the strongest support. Lin Su bit her lip and said, "Dad, aunt, uncle." Lin Su took a deep breath and returned to normal. With a smile on her face, she greeted all the elders present. She told herself to be strong. If she broke down, what would happen to Qin Sheng? After Lin Su greeted them, Qin Sheng had basically figured out everyone's identity. The man sitting in the middle of the sofa with glossy hair and an imposing aura was Lin Su's father. The man next to him who looked somewhat similar was Lin Su's uncle. Compared to Lin Su's father, this man had a smile on his face. When Qin Sheng's eyes met his, he even nodded politely. However, what Qin Sheng was most curious about was that Lin Su called aunt second aunt, but did not call her mother properly. What was going on? Could it be that there was a story behind it? "Oh, so this is my sister's new boyfriend. I thought my sister had high standards, even looking down on young Master Yin. It turns out that she has such standards. As expected, we are not born from the same mother, there is still a gap." Lin Su's brother finally could not help but speak up. He gave Qin Sheng and Lin Su a critical blow. Hearing this, Qin Sheng more or less understood what he was thinking about just now. Lin Su's mother was indeed not present. This man was obviously Lin Su's half-brother, and the one whom Lin Su called aunt was this man's mother. "Nobody will think you are mute if you don't speak," Lin Chongting, who had been sizing Qin Shing up, said in a dignified manner. Lin Su's brother immediately shut up. Since Lin Chongting had already spoken, the others naturally handed the initiative to him. He was also in charge of the Lin family now, and the others had to eat at his beck and call. "Sit," Lin Chongting said in a deep voice. A few of his peers on the sofa on the left immediately gave up their seat. Qin Shing did not stand on ceremony and pulled Lin Su to sit on the sofa. No matter what, he could not be weak. If he did not have his imposing manner, this group of people would mock and ridicule him. He had to let them know that he, Qin Shing, was not a pushover. "Pour tea," Lin Chongting said again. This was the basic way of treating a guest. Naturally, he would not let others say anything. The servants of the Lin family immediately brought over a cup of good quality, Longjing tea that had already been brewed. The entire living room was dead silent. It was especially quiet and strange, and the atmosphere was extremely oppressive. When Qin Shing picked up the teacup, Lin Chongting stared at him and suddenly spoke without warning. "Tell me, what will make you willing to leave my daughter?" Chapter 161. Making a Scene in the Lin Family. First of all, let me tell you a piece of good news. Chaotic People won the 8th place in the 2016 China Online Literature Annual Excellence Award. This is our honor. Thank you for your support. This was the first time that these elders of the Lin family had seen Qin Shing. However, among the same generation, many of them had already seen Qin Shing at the birthday party that day. They really did not have much interest in this ordinary-looking man. After all, any man would pale in comparison in front of Yan Chaozong. Even they felt that they were inferior to him, let alone this ordinary man. Lin Chongting knew about it that night, but he did not call his daughter Lin Su. Instead, he waited for Lin Su to tell him. However, to his disappointment, Lin Su did not mention it at all. This made Lin Chongting very angry. Since she did not take the initiative to tell him, he would not ask. Then he asked his son Lin Zhe to find Lin Su and ask her to go back to Ningbo on the weekend. However, what Lin Chongting did not expect was that this time, Lin Su actually planned to bring this man back to the Lin family. Lin Chongting was completely annoyed. She was really out of control. She did not respect him, her father, at all. She wanted to bring any man back. Fine, then he would settle everything at once today, so that he would not have to make another trip. No matter what, it was impossible for Lin Chongting to agree to Qin Shing and Lin Su being together. Even if it was an ordinary relationship, Lin Chongting would still look down on Qin Shing. Lin Chongting did not want to talk nonsense with Qin Shing. He went straight to the point. Everyone in the Lin family was waiting to see a good show. They did not believe that Lin Su would go against the entire Lin family and her parents for a man she had only known for a few days. Before Qin Shing came to the Lin family, he had thought about how to make the Lin family agree to his relationship with Lin Su. Although the hope was slim, as long as he worked hard, there would be a miracle. However, he did not expect that Lin Chongting would directly set the tone for today and completely block the way. Lin Su did not expect her father to be so determined. She frowned and said, "Dad, shut up." Lin Chongting stared at Lin Su and said angrily. Lin Su wanted to refute but was stopped by Qin Shing. Qin Shing smiled and asked, "Uncle Lin, how can I make you agree to let me be with Lin Su? A toad wants to eat swan meat. Why don't you take a look at yourself first? You want to climb up to the Lin family? Dream on," Lin Su's aunt said sarcastically. Qin Shing retorted bluntly, "Auntie, you're not a member of the Lin family, are you? In that case, you're a social climber." "You." Lin Su's aunt, Yuing, was speechless. She was indeed able to get into the Lin family because of her sister. She had earned a lot of money from the Lin family over the years. Her life now was enviable. Seeing that her sister was at a disadvantage, Lin Su's aunt, Yu Hong, snorted coldly. He doesn't even have the most basic manners. Is this the boyfriend you found? Are you out of your mind? These words were a little harsh, but Lin Su had gotten used to this woman making things difficult for her all these years. What could she do? After all, she was an elder and the mistress of the Lin family. Auntie, I didn't expect that you, who are graceful and elegant, would scold people. I really didn't expect this, Qin Shing said with a smile. If it were not for the fact that he didn't want to fall out with the Lin family, he would have blurted out that she was no different from a shrew on the street. Lin Chongting did not expect Qin Shing to be so arrogant. He originally wanted to be polite, but now he didn't want to be entangled with Qin Shing anymore. He said directly, "Young man, I'm not discussing this with you today. I just want to tell you that leaving my daughter won't do you any harm. If you insist on being with her, you'll have to bear the consequences." Qin Shing laughed and said, "Uncle Lin, you're indeed not discussing with me. You're threatening me. Since Lin Su dares to bring me back to the Lin family under such great pressure, if I give in, what will she do? Then I guess I won't be able to raise my head in front of her for the rest of my life." "Are you confident?" Lin Zhe said in a strange tone. Lin Chongting sneered and said, "Take it as a threat. Then what can you do? She's my daughter, I have the final say." The words, taking advantage of one's power to bully others, were written on Lin Chongting's face. He could play games with the leaders of the province and city, so naturally he would not take Qin Shing seriously. Lin Su did not want Qin Shing to bear the pressure alone. She clenched her fists and said, "Dad, Qin Shing is the man I chose. Whether you guys agree or not, I will be with him. I came back today to tell you that this is my man." "How dare you?" Lin Chongting directly slammed the table and stood up. The women of the Lin family echoed, "Shameless, shameless. You're a girl, what are you saying? Aren't you ashamed? I really don't know what kind of taste you have. Which part of this man is comparable to Chaozong? You're really bewitched." The group of people started to criticize Lin Su, and at the same time, they were pointing fingers at her. Qin Shing smiled and stood up. He looked at everyone present and said slowly, "Indeed, the Lin family did not let me down. You really have the demeanor of a big family. I've finally seen it. You guys really only care about your own interests and never consider your children's feelings and happiness. We're doing this for her own good. If you want her to be happy, you should let go and let her be happy," Lin Su's aunt said sincerely. Qin Shing laughed and said, "For her own good, for her happiness, you want me to let go? Let's be more direct. For her own good or for your own good? We all know what you guys are thinking. Didn't someone just say that I'm going to climb up the social ladder with the Lin family? Then why are you using Lin Su's marriage to climb up the social ladder with the Yen family? Do you guys really like Yen Chaozong? I think you guys like the Yen family's background. Lin Su and Yen Chaozong's marriage. The Lin family and the Yen family will unite by marriage. TSK, what a perfect deal," Qin Shing said straightforwardly, exposing the Lin family's hypocrisy. "Young man, you're really unscrupulous. I don't know where you get your confidence from. Do you know where you are?" Lin Su's uncle said. Qin Shing could not be bothered with him and continued, "Let's put it this way. If the me standing here today had a stronger background than the Yen family, I guess you guys would choose me without hesitation. You would have thrown Yen Chaozong far away a long time ago. The so-called good for Lin Su, ask yourselves honestly, is it really good for her? Doesn't she know what's good for her? Does she need you guys to define her? Have you guys asked her if she likes Yen Chaozong? Have you guys asked her what she wants? You guys are sacrificing her happiness in exchange for your own interests. Don't you think it's very selfish of you?" Enough. Lin Chongting could not tolerate Qin Shing's impudence anymore. he scolded loudly. Qin Shing smiled disapprovingly and said, "Are you angry? This is the man you brought back. Chase this man out," Yu Hong directly ordered the Lin family's nephews. The group of men rubbed their palms together. If the elders were not present, they would have fought with Qin Shing. Now that they finally heard the order, they could not help but be eager to fight. Lin Zhe even took the lead and rushed over. Lin Su directly stood in front of Qin Shing and said, "If you guys want to chase Qin Shing out, then chase me out first." You. Lin Chongting pointed at Lin Su and said, "Are you trying to anger me to death? I don't have a daughter like you. Yes or no, what's the difference? All these years, when have you ever cared about me? Other than Grandma, who in the Lin family cares about me?" Lin Su's gaze was firm, but this kind of firmness made one's heart ache. Others might not feel sorry for her, but Qin Shing really felt sorry for her. He finally understood how Lin Su had survived all these years. It was really hard for her to be able to live alone in such a family. However, at this time, how could Qin Shing let Lin Su protect him? He patted Lin Su's shoulder and then stood in front of her. Facing Lin Zhe and the others, he sneered and said, "Are you sure you want to fight?" Lin Zhe did not want to talk nonsense. He directly rushed over and was ready to chase Qin Shing out of the Lin family. Qin Shing was not afraid at all. He directly grabbed Lin Zhe's arm with both hands and took advantage of the situation to move forward. He turned around, bent down and exerted force. With a shoulder throw, Lin Zhe was thrown out. Lin Zhe fell heavily on the ground. The whole Lin family was in an uproar in an instant. Yu Hong was shocked. She hurriedly ran to Lin Zhe and shouted, Son, someone come quickly, they are really lawless." Seeing that Qin Shing actually dared to fight, the other men of the same generation in the Lin family rushed over without hesitation. Since it was already like this, Qin Shing also went all out. Just as he said, "You can bully me in any way you want," but to bully Lin Su was to challenge his bottom line. A group of people was so sarcastic and mean to a girl. Qin Shing had been holding back his anger. Anyway, it was already like this. At most, he would poke a hole in the Lin family today. A few rich playboys who had their bodies hollowed out by wine and women were no match for Qin Shing. Within a few minutes, they were easily dealt with by Qin Shing. This was even under the situation where Qin Shing had not fully recovered from his injuries. The Lin family was completely in chaos. 5 or 6 men were lying on the ground. When the women looked at Qin Shing again, it was as if they had seen a devil. Lin Chongting and a few elders' faces were livid. They were only left with anger, but no one dared to fight. At this time, a few men came in from outside. The leader was an old man who was over 50 years old. When he saw the scene, his expression changed instantly. When the Lin family saw this man, it was as if they had seen their savior. This man did not talk nonsense and directly attacked Qin Shing. Qin Shing frowned because he had already felt the threat of this man. However, when he attacked just now, he touched a few wounds on his body. Qin Shing felt a piercing pain. Now that he had encountered such a powerful character, Qin Shing was afraid that he was not a match for him. However, he still braced himself and rushed forward. As soon as they met, the man gave a domineering uppercut. Qin Shing could feel the force of the uppercut. Qin Shing hurriedly dodged, and the man chased after him relentlessly. Qin Shing had no choice but to deal with it. His wounds seemed to have torn and bled, but Qin Shing could only grit his teeth and persevere. After a few exchanges, Qin Shing finally revealed a flaw. He was kicked in the shoulder by the man. Qin Shing directly flew out and fell heavily on the ground. Fuxing, beat him to death, beat him to death. Seeing that Qin Shing had fallen, Yu Hong shouted loudly. She finally vented her anger. At this time, Lin Su was already in a mess. She did not know what to do, but she still ran to Qin Shing without hesitation. She directly stood in front of Qin Shing and shouted to the crowd, If you have the ability, you can beat me to death first. Lin Chongding's face darkened. He did not expect this man to be so tough, and he did not expect things to develop to this stage. He directly smashed the teacup on the table onto the ground and shouted angrily, "All of you, stop!" Everyone was stunned by Lin Chongding's imposing manner. In an instant, no one dared to speak. Lin Chongding stared at Lin Su and said, "Lin Su, this is all your fault. Now I will give you one last chance. If you give up on this man, I will pretend that nothing has happened. If you still insist on choosing him, fine, from today onwards I will cut off our relationship as father and daughter. I, Lin Chongting, do not have a daughter like you." Lin Su did not expect her father to be so decisive. She looked at Qin Shing, who was lying on the ground with a pale face, and then raised her head to look at everyone present. She believed that what had happened today would be unforgettable for the rest of her life. Chapter 162. Let me handle it. Be honest, apart from the old lady, Lin Su did not have much affection for the Lin family. Lin Su was more conflicted about her father, Lin Chongting. She never blamed her parents for this ill-fated relationship. After all, they were both consenting people and outsiders could not say anything. Moreover, they were all adults and had to pay for their own choices. However, what Lin Su could not tolerate was that when her mother was seriously ill, Lin Chongting only visited her once. When her mother passed away, Lin Chongting did not even send her off. In the end, he directly brought her back to the cold Lin family. How cruel he was! Since then, she had hated Lin Chongting. After arriving at the Lin family, she had seen the capability of this aunt and her brother, Lin Zhe, who bullied her everywhere. Since she was young, everything had been arranged for her, and Lin Su had never resisted. She just quietly did what she had to do, because she was still young and did not have the ability to resist this big family. But now, the Lin family wanted to use her marriage and happiness as a trade. Lin Su could not bear it, so this time, no matter what, she would resist. It was nothing more than leaving the Lin family. There was nothing to miss here. Since they forced her, then fine, she would leave. When Lin Su said, "Let's go," to Qin Shing, it meant that her fate with the Lin family had come to an end. She could return everything that the Lin family had given her, because she knew what she wanted and what kind of life she wanted to live. No one expected that Lin Su would actually break up with the whole family for a man. Was this man so important that her family was more important than him? Chun Qin, who was Lin Yu's second mother, who had been silent, could not help but say, "Su, don't be so impulsive. Sister." Lin Yu also hurried over to stop Lin Su. At this time, Lin Chongting would definitely not admit defeat, whether it was for the Lin family or for his reputation and authority. Hence, he snorted and said, "Go, let her go. If she has the ability to leave, then don't come back." Lin Su looked at the ugly faces of these people with a sneer. Based on her temper, naturally, she would not come back after leaving. Being helped up by Lin Su, Qin Shing's shoulder and the torn wound were a little painful. If he was in good health, he would definitely be able to defeat this Fuxing. Which flourishing family did not have a few masters who could guard the house? This was just like the hangers-on of those rich and powerful families in ancient times. They were needed at critical times. Therefore, Qin Shing's loss was not undeserved. However, no matter how painful the wound was, it could not be more painful than his heart. Looking at Lin Su, who was bullied to the point of tears, Qin Shing felt extremely heartbroken. He looked at all the members of the Lin family and gritted his teeth as he said, "The Lin family really did not let me down." Qin Shing would remember everything that had happened today. Sooner or later, he would come back and make the whole Lin family regret what they had done to him and Lin Su today. If you continue to be so stubborn, you won't be able to walk out of Ningbo. Lin Zhe had suffered a loss in front of Qin Xing and felt embarrassed. At this time, he naturally had to say some harsh words. Qin Xing could not be bothered with him. He turned around and faced Lin Su. He wiped away her tears gently and smiled. Your makeup is ruined from crying. You're not pretty anymore. They don't deserve this. Let's go back to Shanghai. Lin Su nodded and smiled. After saying that, Lin Su pulled Qin Xing and was about to leave. Everyone looked at each other and did not know what to do next. Should they stop them from leaving or let them go? After all, Lin Chongting did not say anything. At this time, old Madame Lin, who had been chanting scriptures in the temple, slowly walked into the living room with the help of 2 servants. Old Madame Lin smiled kindly and said, "Even if you want to leave, you can leave after eating. Grandma asked the kitchen to make longjing prawns for you. The prawns were just bought this morning." Lin Su did not expect her grandma to appear at this time. She subconsciously stopped and looked at her grandma's old appearance. She could not bear to see her grandma like this. After all, it was because of her that the situation had become like this. "Grandma," Lin Su murmured. Old Madame Lin was calm, as if everything that had happened in the Lin family had nothing to do with her. Old Madame Lin was born in the period of the Republic of China. She had experienced too many storms and witnessed too many ups and downs of this country, people, and family. Such a small matter was not enough to make her fuss. "Why don't you see Grandma first when you come back?" Old Madame Lin complained. Lin Su was in a bit of a dilemma. She could not leave or stay. How could she face the Lin family if she did not leave? What about Grandma? Qin Xing knew that old Madame Lin doted on Lin Su the most. He hurriedly went forward and greeted, "Greetings to Grandma." "Good, good, good." Old Madame Lin looked at Qin Xing and smiled. Qin Xing patted Lin Su's shoulder gently and said, "It's rare for you to come back. Let's eat with Grandma first, okay?" Lin Su naturally cared about Qin Xing's opinion. Since Qin Xing had already said so, Lin Su smiled and said, "Okay." Old Madame Lin's appearance made the rest of the Lin family lose their temper. Everyone looked at each other and did not know what to do. Everyone knew that old Madame Lin doted on Lin Su the most. All these years, if it were not for old Madame Lin, based on Yu Hong's character, she would have eaten Lin Su up. However, old Madame Lin had said that if anyone dared to bully Lin Su, then don't blame her for turning hostile. Therefore, no matter how much the Lin family disliked Lin Su, they had to give her face. Although Lin Chongting was in charge of the Lin family, old Madame Lin's words were like an imperial edict. No one dared to disobey. Lin Su and Qin Xing accompanied old Madame Lin upstairs. The others watched them leave, knowing that they had completely disappeared. Lin Zhe was the first to get angry. He shouted, "Damn it, letting an outsider show off in our Lin family. What the hell is this?" Lin Su's eldest uncle said cautiously, "Have you found out about this young man's background?" Lin Chongting was not willing to talk about these things in front of everyone. He had always excluded women when he talked about serious matters. Women, after all, were just eating, drinking, shopping, and running a small circle. This kind of big matters still needed men to be at the helm. Therefore, Lin Chongting called a few men of the Lin family to the study, including Lin Su's second uncle, 2 uncles, Lin Zhe, and 2 outstanding young people of the same generation. Once the men left, the women started to chatter. Yu Hong said viciously, "I said that she is a scourge. We shouldn't have brought her back in the first place. What's the use of saying all this now? Think about what to do. We can't let them leave the Lin family so easily. Look at how arrogant that man was just now. It really pissed me off." Ewing echoed. She was naturally on the same side as her sister. Only when her sister's position in the Lin family was more stable could her status rise. The women of the Lin family were naturally divided into 2 groups. One group was led by Ewing. They were definitely on the opposite side of Lin Su and hoped that Lin Su would die as soon as possible. The other group was led by Lin Su's second mother, Chen Qin. For example, Lin Su's second aunt, Lin Yu. They more or less cared about Lin Su. However, because Lin Chongting was in charge of the Lin family, they did not dare to refute anything Yu Hong said. At this time, Yu Hong naturally made things difficult for Lin Su's second mother, and her side remained silent. I think there is no need to make things so tense. The best solution is to let that man take the initiative to leave Su. In this way, Su can not only stay in the Lin family, but there is also hope for the marriage with the Yen family. Lin Su's eldest aunt was more thoughtful. Their family had a business in Shanghai. What they hoped most was for the Lin family and the Yen family to unite through marriage. In this way, with the Yen family's background, they could continue to develop in Shanghai. Ewing thought for a while and said, "Why don't we find someone to talk to that man and see what conditions he has to offer to leave Lin Su? If it doesn't work, we find someone to threaten him." I don't believe that he is not afraid of death. This is also considered as a solution. Yu Hong nodded silently. Lin Su's second mother sighed and said, "Sister-in-law, don't be anxious. Let's see what the men decide first." In the study on the second floor of the Lin family, the men of the Lin family were sitting in different positions in the study. They were all a group of old smokers. Just now, there were more women and the atmosphere was more stiff, so they did not smoke. Now they finally had no scruples and lit up cigarette. In an instant, the study was filled with smoke. As the manager of the Lin family, Lin Chongting said bluntly, "What should we do about this? The marriage between the Lin family and the Yen family is related to the development of the Lin family in the next 10 or 20 years. I don't want this to affect the Lin family." Everyone did not say anything. Lin Su's attitude was obvious. What could they do? They could not force Lin Su to die. If the old lady got angry, no one could stand it. "Lin Zhe, what did Yen Chaozong say?" Lin Chonghe asked casually. Lin Zhe scolded and said, "They all say that Yen Chaozong is an influential person in Shanghai. Damn it, he can't even beat a loser. I think they are all bragging. Yen Chaozong stole his woman, and he did not even dare to fart." Lin Chongting snorted and said, "Don't talk nonsense. Get to the point." Lin Zhe then replied, "I looked for him. He said he was thinking of a solution. After thinking for so long, this man is still safe and sound. What can I do? After all, it is our Lin family who changed their mind. The Yen family naturally hopes that we can handle it," Lin Su's eldest uncle said. This was also a fact. Lin Su's second uncle asked, "How to handle it?" You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.